Tottenham till I die, Spurs Diehards. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs Diehards. Tottenham till I die.
Good evening. Welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. There is an old saying, you never change your winning team, and we're not. Last week's show was really well received, some fabulous comments, a large number of views. So I've got the same team in. Tom, with two young children, one particular baby, will be joining us as soon as he can. But we'll bring on Tom in a minute. But welcome back, Callum Stubbs. Good evening, Callum. How are you tonight?
Yeah, no, I'm great. Thanks for having me back, mate. I didn't expect to be back this quickly. I'm not going to lie.
Well, listen, we pick your best players. That's the secret. Before I do anything else, I am going to go through the chat. Seems like that we're quite well anticipated tonight as well. In advance of the show, the Beast of TH, Tottenham Hotspur, I presume that is. Let's go. Blaine's in the house, but briefly, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. That's really important, guys. Please like, subscribe. And we're doing did a number of shorts in the week. So please, when you see there's that little clock button, that alarm clock button, do set your alerts for everything so that you see everything that we are putting on. Only staying for 15, 20 minutes, lads, but hope the show goes well. Thank you, Blaine, Brian, Hale, evening, Brian, Kevin, best opening YouTube music. You want to hear the outro? I wrote the outro, so Adrian.
I wrote the intro.
The intro's the best.
The intro and the outro. Was that Dave Brubeck?
You haven't heard the outro. The outro's good as well. It is.
Yeah.
We've got 10 bits of music recorded. I'm going to do more. While we've got the software, I'll do more and more and more until it needs renewing. I'm not renewing it. So go on.
And Cam does FM, no static at all, I guess. You prefer a James Brown. Yeah, you have to stay to the end of the show now to hear the outro because I do the soul music. Graham's in the house as well. Good evening, Graham. Blaine, 5 gift memberships. Blaine, love you, man. Love you, man.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, can't say enough. Hello, buzzing after the Reading match. Can't wait any longer for Luton. Funny enough, thank you said that before we went on air. And what's my influence? God, everything from the Beatles through Bobby Womack, Sam Cooke, loads of things. We can talk about that forever, but probably not on a show. Adrian, good evening.
We were talking about age earlier, weren't we? And all that. I don't even know half of them.
I even I'm a big classical music fan and rock music fan, but I like soul. I like a bit of Nat King Cole as well, you know. So I mean, like, it's all good. If you want your soul and Etta James and things like that, she's very good. I'm fine, Ian. Thank you. I enjoyed the game yesterday. It was really a game of sort of two halves, really. Enjoyed it all. I'm sure we get into it. Yeah, no, can't wait for the season to start. Actually, to be honest with you,
I think you're the same. But let's have we won't talk too long. But there's a few things we do need to talk about. Reading 0, Tottenham 2. Callum, you see the game?
Yeah, luckily I got Spurs play, so it actually pays off for these pre-season friendlies and the youth games. No, it was a slow start, but we finally got there, didn't we? In the end, I think that was. I know we was all chatting on the different groups, and I think that was sort of the sort of consensus. It was good performances in the first half, but didn't really yield much success. Then second half kind of hit with a bang, didn't it?
I thought it was really impressive, particularly second half. Adrian, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, second half was good. Are we going to discuss the first half, or you want to just go straight in the second half? Or
well, I'm just going to talk in general. I'm going to talk about.
Okay. All right, we generalise. Okay.
Well, let's talk. Let me lead you. Let me bring you in on this. First of all, the team sheet came out an hour and a quarter before the game, and Vicario was in goal. And then all of a sudden, we find Kinski's playing in goal. Did you think that was significant, Adrian?
I think it had everyone perplexed. I mean, what's going on? I mean, has something happened, or I haven't seen anything to explain it since the game. So maybe it was just the sheet was put up wrong. I think that's probably what it was. The sheet was put up wrong. There was nothing like sinister in it, or something that the media will snatch on anything, though, won't they? You know. But, yeah, I just think it was just someone like put the wrong sheet up. That's all there was to it. So yeah,
I mean, it was genuinely a team of two halves, and I'm not putting up the team. At the end of the day, we played 22 players that all got legs, all got miles in their legs. Callum, did you see any significance though in the fact that Kinski started the first half?
That, from what I'm led to believe, is a media mess up from the Spurs PR team. They dropped the wrong name for it, and that's why they had to go and recorrect it. So I don't think there was much in it, to be honest, because when you look at the teams, the players, there was no sort of correlation between them. And I discussed this earlier on another pod where I just think it was purely probably some players had better match fitness. He wanted to just see how different roles worked as well. So I don't think we need to overthink it too much at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the danger, isn't it? On a stream like let's overthink it. I just wondered if he was sending out a hint that Kinski is at this stage my first choice. There's a lot of people suggesting with Kinski's ball skills, he'll be more suited to Thomas Frank's system than Vicario, albeit no doubt in my mind that Kinski's shot stopping skills are nowhere near Vicario's.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Vicario does worry me with his kicking. I mean, he couldn't kick something if it's 2 yards in front of him. Let's put it that way. We've seen that, and it was proven yesterday. But Kinski is good at playing out from the back, but he definitely has a moment of madness in him as well at the age of 22. So I don't think any of the goalkeepers we've got in the squad are near to the finished article. They're not a sort of a Donnarumma or a Edison or an Allison, are they? We can never claim to have the best keeper in the league in any of them. So I think it'd be false of us to say they are outstanding, because there are definitely better keepers there, but they are good prospects and they are good goalkeepers at what they are. And Vicario is a good shot stopper, can't distribute, and Kinski's a good distribution goalkeeper and playing out from the back, but some of his sort of his shot stopping is probably a bit of a question. And Austin, the poor fellow, hasn't had a look in. I mean, it's like when we had Lloris in the past, great at shot stopping, couldn't do anything with his feet. Aurelio Gomez could kick, but couldn't save his dinner. Let's put it that way. It's kind of like we can never have one great all-round keeper, can we? But not many teams can.
Yeah. Certain age, didn't you, to remember Pat Jennings. Before I bring you back in, Adrian, can I just bring the chat back in, because there's a lot of chats here, and I just need to catch up with everybody. Let's go. Mark Taylor, thanks for making me a member. That must be down to Blaine. Thank you, sir. Welcome, Mark. And Daniel, I like the last season. It was the Ian and Adrian Prediction League rivalry. Now it's the yeah, but Daniel, let me.
And there's more to come.
not only did I win the prediction competition, but I'm the better songwriter as well. So
yeah, but you won the worst short competition as well in the last week. So I mean, literally, I don't think that's anything to sing home about, is it?
Yeah. Cam Hotspur, let me promise you, we will be talking a lot about Vuskovic. I've got quite a bit to talk about Vuskovic. And then, yeah, big up Graham. I know a lot of you like to say hello to each other, and I love that. That's, your song wasn't oven ready yet. Blaine, you haven't lived till you.
I like Led Zeppelin, Blaine.
Led Zeppelin from one in through the outdoor. Yeah. Oh, give me, hey. I had the pleasure, Blaine, of seeing Led Zeppelin in Earl's Court in 1975, last day of their world tour, 3 3/4 hours. I was 15, missed the last train home.
The Berlin Wall was still up then, weren't it?
3 3/4 hours. Adam Freeman introduced them. Too much.
Blaine, just on that, if you get a chance and you go to the Kennedy Center in America, the video, just type in the Kennedy Center Led Zeppelin.
Oh, the Heart. If you
the Heart do the version of Stairway to Heaven. It's absolutely fantastic. It's mind blowing, right?
Is it Nancy who sings Lee? The
you got Nancy and Anne, isn't you? Yeah.
But they have Jason Bonham. The 3 surviving members of Led Zeppelin are in the audience. Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones are in the audience. And Jason Bonham, the son of the late John Bonham, the big people who have no idea what I'm talking about, is on drums. And it's very, very moving. This is why shows run 2 hours, because Super Spurs TV, Blade, just watched the making of Led Zeppelin, cracking watch. That's what we need in goal. A world-class keeper. Do you know what? A lot of people, when we got Vicario, were saying, thank God we didn't get Raya from Brentford.
Well, just on that, you talked about Kingsley early on the goalkeepers. I mean, like, Kingsley flapped at an early one, didn't seem to know what to do, and they nearly scored. We got ball cleared off the line. So that was it. But Callum, what do you think of Fabianotti, though? He's coming to sort out, and we've got the 2 goalkeeping coaches, actually. Fabianotti come from Liverpool. He was out in Germany. Was he with Leipzig or something? I can't remember where he was. Very highly rated goalkeeping coach. I mean, he's been at Liverpool. Like they're professional. We're amateurs compared to Liverpool.
Yeah, and Dean Brill's come up as well, hasn't he, from the 18? So they've got time. It's 5 weeks in. 5 weeks. I mean, we had Rob Birch last year, and I mean, that geezer couldn't catch a cold. Let's put it that way. So I mean, that's sort of where the feeling is. So no, there's evolution there. We just need time, don't we? At the end of the day, and it's not going to be. Rome weren't built in a day. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a better tune out of our goalkeepers. And when you look out there anyway, it's all right saying you don't rate them. I get that. Fans don't like any particular player, or they like a player. I get that. And whether I agree or disagree, I respect their opinion. But you know, I mean, that. When you look around and think, well, hang about, who's available that's better? You know, it just isn't. There's a dearth of goalkeepers, there's a dearth of strikers, right? It's just a fact, right? So I think Fabianotti will get a tune out of both them goalkeepers. And even Austin, who didn't really put a foot wrong last season, but he never really got a chance.
No, exactly. I mean, Austin, the feeling is that he'll probably depart next year once we sort of solve the homegrown issues. And I've been speaking to a few people today, and
they gave him a 6-year contract because he was homegrown for Premier League, not you know, and he's homegrown for Champions League as well. They gave him a 6-year contract. Some goalkeepers are quite happy to sit there and take the dosh. I mean, I would go to work, do nothing, get paid what they get paid. I would take it, you know.
Well, but, you got Whiteman was more worried about his DJ career, wasn't he, at the end of the day, by the end of it? So he's gone. So, yeah, I think there'll be a change in the guard in the next couple of years over keepers. I mean, the next favoured one is Luca Gunter.
Yeah, I like Gunter. I like him.
And I know we'll cover Keeley probably later on. I know me and Ian were speaking about it earlier as well. So I'll give you my 10 pence on that in a bit.
I'll get it. Let's talk about some of the, because I do want to get on to Kudos and Vuskovic, but I was really pleased with Moore, Donnelly and Lancashire. Lancashire obviously got his goal. He's got some presence. This time last year, I just seen him play at Tynecastle, and I thought, man, this boy's got a bit about him. This boy's got a bit of Harry Kane's about him. Certainly, I think he was ahead of Valith because he was playing. Ange was playing Solanke for half a game and then giving Valith and Lancashire a quarter of a game each. And I thought Lancashire was well ahead. But what's the you can give us a bit about this, Callum? The word on the street in terms of where we are with Lancashire and where the club think he's at.
So starting from sort of a Frank point of view, so Frank tried to sign him when he was at Brentford and in the same sum that we did. They had a deal agreed with him, well, with Sheffield. Spurs then swooped in, and we seem to have a habit of doing that with Brentford the last couple of years, and we got him 2 million. And this was actually a very good deal which came out, and Frank loves him. Frank really, really likes him, and there is a feeling that if Spurs don't get a striker in the summer, or even if we do, he will be remaining around. He seems to have jumped ahead of Scarlett at the moment because Scarlett, with his injury, sort of has put him back from the operation that he had. So it's sort of looking like Scarlett's going to go out on loan. Lancashire will remain with the squad. And Frank thinks he's a very good player. And the club highly rate him as well, because I believe he's got a contract till about 2027 or 2028 as well at the moment. And there's even talk that he may be offered a new contract in the coming months. So now really highly rated. And I mean, I was very sceptical of him last year because of the loan that he had, but I've seen him and he's bulked up. He's gotten very good, and his movement on and off the ball is very positive. And I think he does what Solanke doesn't do. He's more of a natural goal scorer compared to Solanke. So no, rated very highly at the moment.
And he draws defenders as well. Scarlett does this as well. I've seen them both do this, which is clever for kids. This is clever for kids. I mean, he got 23 goals in that all-conquering under-21 season, over 30 with the cup games, right, when they won both the competitions. Looks good. But you don't know, do you? Kane had like 3 crap. He was at Mill, Norwich, Leicester or something, wasn't he? And he did nothing. And Van der Ven went, "Oh, Kane, shit."
The great thing that the under-23s had up until last season was one of the best attacking coaches that you can have at that level, Jermaine Defoe. We had Defoe as part of the academy training setup for the 23s, or the 21s as they're called now. So, no, really positive, and they both have learned off of Jermaine Defoe. That's where I've seen Defoe do this many a times when he played.
And Ange give Lancashire a chance. Of course, he scores against Galatasaray and then got sent off. So he blotted his copybook, and I don't know if that went against him. I could understand it if it did, right? I mean, we don't know. But I mean, look, I like the look of him. I mean, but it doesn't look like Richarlison's going. He wants to stay and prove himself, and we can make it uncomfortable for players if they don't want to leave. Like, say, you're not going to be in a Champions League squad. You're not going to get much game time. Try and force them out that way. But even Basuma could dig his heels in the last year because Richarlison's got 2 years. Basuma's only got 1. Basuma could get stubborn and say, "I'm sitting because I'll get a fat signing on fee when I go somewhere else." So,
Adrian, I'll come back to outgoings. Let me just see where we've got to. Graham Lancashire knows where to pop up for a goal. That's instinct, difficult to coach. I tell you what, I couldn't agree with that more. You can't buy that. You can coach it to an extent. But that ability to be, could anyone coach Gary Lineker in where to be? Or does he just find that naturally time and time again? Blaine has asked question, what's happening with Scarlett? I think time's up now. You alluded to this, Callum, that as I understand it, the club really rates Scarlett quite highly. But at some point he has to shape up or ship out, doesn't he, though?
It's getting to that sort of point, and this injury that he had, obviously, he had that great game against Elfsborg, and then sort of disappeared out of this world, didn't he? And then we found out it was this injury where he had to have surgery on part of his leg, all of that. So he's about 4 to 5 months behind from where he wants to be, and the club still view him very highly and rate him, but they feel that now that Lancashire has come back, he's gone ahead of him. So there's a good chance that Scarlett will probably go on loan to the Championship. But if they can't get another striker, don't put it past the club with now Stuart Lewis being in there and Cochrane and Chris Haslam to say, no, let's give these guys a chance as well, because we would rather see that, have the young players in there, than going out and spending 30, 40 million on Johan Visser, who, no disrespect to him, doesn't fit the profile. But I know we'll cover strikers and all that later on, so I won't go into it. But yes, Scarlett is struggling with injury at the moment. He's got to build up his fitness, from what I've heard.
He's bulked up though, Scarlett. I mean, I see him as a 17-year-old, and I forget what game it was because it's to watch the reserves up. And when you get one player that stands out on the field at the whole 22, it was him. He was too good at his age level at 17. People might not believe it. He's only 20 now. I think he's only 20. And then he goes to Oxford, gets 4 and 20. When he was at Ipswich, he never got played when they got promoted, right? He hardly got played, right? So, and again, he's another one who's got the awareness to get on that goal against Elfsborg as well. When he came in to meet Decky's cross, with a left-footed cross Decky put in, I recall, and got it in the net, I was so pleased for him. Well, 3 kids to win you a game. It's brilliant, isn't it? But, yeah, so, I mean, I rate him. Do I think he's got a career at Spurs? Who knows? It's like, let's be... I mean, I could get very emotional and excited at watching that all-conquering under-21 side. And you think all these players are good and all that. Unless we sort of like shit a miracle, like Alex Ferguson did, bringing all them kids in at that time when you had both the Neville brothers, you had Nicky Butt, you had Paul Scholes, Beckham and Giggs coming with a blend of experience with Pallister and Bruce and the goalkeeper and the forwards. That was different. But I don't see it. We might get 1 or 2 come through. The rest will be sold because that's what academies are. It's not going to happen. And there are players I would like to see make it. I mean, if you're romantic, you'd like them all to make it. But I mean, save yourself a fortune. But it's not going to happen. I mean, 3% of academy players, I think, make it into their first 25-man squads, like in the Premier League. And most of those are not from the teams that are in the top 6, 7 or 8, because the less wealthier teams, they play their youngsters, you know, whereas like the teams that higher up have got the money, they pay to fix an issue in any problem they've got in a position in the team. They go and buy someone instead, you know. So
we've got some news on another exciting academy signing for you later on. Moore and Donnelly, Adrian, I know you're a big fan of both of them. Yeah, Callum too. Can't say I'm not.
I like Divine as well, Ian, if we've missed out, but it doesn't matter. I like Divine.
Adrian, maybe you start this first because I know you're a massive Mikey Moore fan. Do they both need to go on loan? Does Mikey Moore need...
No.
There you go. I've got a big nod. Yeah, no. I can only ask the questions.
No. He's look, he is probably... I mean, they talked about Marcus Edwards, you know, you had like others there that have come before. He's the best youngster I've seen at his football club since Oddle and Perryman. He's the best. And then you get people, Spurs fans, oh, he's a bit slow. Listen, this kid's... When I look at videos of players, I look for players that have got vision, move the ball quickly and make things happen. He's got that all. You know, so is Vuskovic. We're getting to that. He's got it all. And I think he is an exceptional talent. Every level he's stepped up, and every level he's stepped up for England, he's scored goals. He's always been the player that's made things happen, even if he doesn't score himself. He scored away in pre-season. Was it Aberdeen? He scored away then, didn't he? Right. He got his goal against Elfsborg, which is a lovely diagonal run, then a shot in the opposite corner. And he had that 20-minute spell when people were comparing it to Messi, which is a bit over the top, really. But we like it because he's one of our own. And because he's one of our own, he'll be forgiven mistakes, whereas other players won't be. But he's like, no, this guy, he's got that low centre of gravity, he can shift from side to side. I think half the time he doesn't know what he's going to do. I mean, that little dribble he did when he went inside players, I mean, Johnson wouldn't have even attempted that. Neither would Son, right? You've got to look. So this is when you're looking for bravery on the field. He wasn't great yesterday. I loved the player. He did a couple of good flashes. He did. I thought I really like Donnelly though. I really like Donnelly. He's someone who's on the football field that you think he ain't a kid. And also the way he shields and protects the ball as well, Donnelly, when he's got it. You know, you just think like he looks like he's been around for years to me when I watch him. Like, and his intelligence and his football brain, you know. I mean, like we've talked about that.
He's the closest player to remind me of Kane, of what Kane did and what Kane does. He's very similar to how Kane could create goals for himself as well. And that's Donnelly for me. And that's where he's so similar, but he's kind of a cross between Kane, Dele and Eriksen in what he can do in the different moments of magic for me. Just seeing him is brilliant. And
like Divine, and get your take on Divine after me. I mean, like, he normally plays in midfield. He had loans at Port Vale, right? Remember him because he scored that goal against Marine in the FA Cup when he was 15 years of age. Gone to Westerlo with Vustovic, done well, right? And he produced a couple of nice pieces of skill. And what I like is the bravery, the looking for the forward pass. And I've always considered him more of a creative sort of 8 than a 10. But he was brought, and that surprised me. And I'll tell you what surprised me. I thought Donnelly would start in the 10. Yeah, still been banging on about it during a week, right? So I've been wrong again. I thought Donnelly would start in the 10. I didn't think Divine would.
But better than him playing left back under Ange, though, and then getting hooked out.
What was quite good with Divine yesterday was if you had a look at it, they had a 3-man pivot sort of thing. They had Bentancur sitting as sort of a 6 with Sarr as an 8, and then Divine playing with sort of more interchanging as a 10 sort of thing, centrally and wide as well. I thought that worked quite nicely. It was just the fact that whenever the ball went out right, our Slim Shady idiot in Porro with his new hairdo and then Johnson on the right was so wasteful. Everything was down that left. And seeing Udogie and Moore link up was great. Divine taking all the sort of link ups in the middle as well. If we had someone who could score up the top in that first half, I think that would have worked amazingly, to be honest.
Yeah. I thought there was a lot of signs of what might happen under Thomas Frank. I thought it was a really positive first game with a lot of positives. I'm saying positive. I'm an electrician, but things that you can take from the game: the movement, the passing, the directness, a lot more purpose in the play, which we'd lost under Ange. Question there from Cam Hotspur. I don't know, I'll start you with this, Callum. Lads, I most definitely get your thoughts on our most recent future star, Luca Williams-Barnett from the academy. You probably, the two of you know more about the youngsters than I do. So, Callum, you want to kick off that question?
Well, the great thing is Cam's one of my mates, so I knew he would ambush me with this one. Sod, as always. But no, really highly rated. And there's been some talk, because he's Stuart Lewis's golden boy at the moment. He was his sort of prime one coming through his 18 side last year. So there's a good chance that LWB goes into the 23s this year, but also starts training with the first team a lot more. I don't think he's ready for the first team release yet, but he is sort of what Adrian was saying about, like, people saying about Moore's speed and being a little bit slower. Well, if you put Luca Williams-Barnett, you put Moore's skill with pace, that's literally this guy. So if these two break through, we are set for left wing and right wing for a long time if they make it at Spurs. That's how highly rated he is.
Yeah, and so that's 16. 16,
Yeah,
17?
16, 17 now, I think.
Right. And
Yeah.
like, if you watch the cup
the ball?
final when they beat Charlton, the way he takes the goal, he's so calm. He just sidestepped the goalkeeper and rolled the ball Akar Jimmy Greaves style, like, you know what I mean? Like, for those of you old enough to remember. But there's another kid in that under 16 side. I've only seen him twice, so he may turn out to be okay or not. I don't know if you've seen Tynan Thompson, the left winger. He
Yeah.
caught my eye. He caught my eye, I tell you, because I thought, hang about what we got here, like, you know. But you don't know with these players, so we'll move on.
He was converted from a centre mid. He was originally a left back into a centre mid, and now he's been converted into sort of a 10 attacking player as well because of all the injuries that we got in the 18s last year as well. But there's a couple of others. There's George Feeney, there's Harry Byrne, Janil Byfield, to just name a few. In that sort of age group.
Melia.
Yeah, Mason Maley is coming in January as well. So now people are really, really happy and really excited for this youth group. And these are the ones all going towards the 21s now. So the next age group down, who are the scholarships, a lot of them are already going to be picked off to go to 21 football. That's how highly the coaches rate them and how they are trying to fast track them through, because the fear is of losing them to bigger clubs outside. That's the problem.
Okay. Tom, better late than never, or what do they say? Better to be Tom Clark late than the late Tom Clark. Just some breaking news. I can tell you that we've just heard that Harry Kane has signed for Bayern Munich, and a deal believed to be worth around £80 million. Oh no, you're not that late. Actually, sorry, I do actually have some breaking news, and that is various reports saying that Paul Gascoigne has been rushed to hospital and is in intensive care, having been found collapsed at home. So I think everybody will just wish Paul well. Not probably someone who looks after himself as well as he might. Before I get you in, Tom, just a couple. Audio Artisan, one of our regulars, evening, my friend. Welcome to the show. Nita, another big fan of the show, big friend of the show. Hi, Adrian. Guest is Callum, Nita. Probably so you get everybody. Hope you're as well as I am on the freezer brain for our incomings and outgoings, holding the Frank bounce. The new season is on its way. Doesn't everybody love the start of a new season? A few hellos and what have you. My grandson's here. Hi, Lou. I hope you
Big up, Louis.
Well, and you will not get to crash the show like you did last week. Yeah, and Jose, yeah. I hope. Hey, listen. I hope you're okay, my friend. I know Jose disappeared, saying he's had a bereavement. So, thinking of you, my friend, and all of your extended family. I don't know any more than that. It's none of my business. But just know that all our love goes to you and your family, Jose. Okay, let's go back. Tom, I'm going to bring you in. I'm not going to go back on all of the stuff we've discussed. I hope I got my spelling right there, but kudos for kudos. I thought, wow, you know, pace, power, everything. Tom?
Yeah. It was just kind of refreshing to see a player actually run with the ball at his feet and try and take a few men on and cause a bit of chaos, really. Not something we've been used to for a long while, to be honest with you. So, yeah, and the thing that struck me as well was just his presence of mind after doing all of that to actually get his head up and pick a pass as well. The one, obviously, that's been shown a lot is when he was down sort of in the right back position and managed to dribble out with a bit of help from Spence from there, got all the way up the other end, but then had the presence of mind to get his head up and lay a pass off to Donnelly, who probably could have and should have done a bit more with it. But he was, present for both the goals. He put the ball in the box for both the goals as well. So it was refreshing to see. It was nice to have that little bit of stardust in like I said, being able to take on his man and try something. Like these sort of players, these kind of like sort of more maverick players, they're not going to do it every single time. They're not going to be able to take on their man every single time and be successful. But if they're trying it 5 times and they're successful twice, then that's 2 more times than Brennan Johnson. So
yeah. I mean, the thing that got me when I was watching him, Tom, I'll keep you on this, that kind of pace, that kind of power, running at defenders is going to scare a lot of defenders. And I know everybody's a Tell fan, but you could see Tell doing that. We're going to get an update on Morgan Gibbs-White. If we had, you could imagine Tell left, Morgan Gibbs-White in the middle, and Kudus on the right, all running at defenders, and frankly, scaring the crap out of a lot of them. Yeah,
and the thing is, it's not just the chaos they create when they've got the ball; it's the chaos that the opposition team think they might create as well. It's one of the reasons why a few years ago when we had Conte, I was quite a big proponent of getting like Adama Traore in, because it's not just. I mean, his end product, Kudus has way better end product than Adama Traore did, but Kudus is the kind of player that players are going to be scared of, and therefore they're going to double up on, and then that gives players like Tell that extra yard of space, that gives Solanke that extra bit of space, that gives Morgan Gibbs-White, Maddison, whoever it might be, Kulusevski, like that extra bit of space, because there's more players thinking about Kudus. So you might get games where Kudus actually doesn't do anything in terms of statistics, in terms of assisting or scoring, but actually just his presence on the pitch and the fact that he can be a threat will give other players more space to be able to operate and do stuff as well. So yeah, it's exciting to have a player like that. We need a couple more.
I mean, it strikes me, Callum, that if you've got players like that in your front line, that your opposition coach has got a real problem as to how he defends against that without sacrificing any attacking intent he has himself.
Most definitely. And we know one of the most difficult things last year for us was breaking down these deep-lying defences and these heavily stacked midfield. So if you've got someone like Kudus, like Gibbs-White, then you've got options. I mean, if you've got just say they've got a 4-3-3 and you've got 2 people trying to run just unanimously with it, and then wingers down the side as well, and then Solanke as a hold-up pivot trying to play off of them, then that's outstanding. I mean, Ian, the breaking news is we're not in for Oil Boy this summer. That's one link that will not come up. We are not in for Adama Traore this year, so thank God we're not. But we will have Kudus, and I know we'll cover Gibbs-White later on, but if we have them and then other players in there, Tell, Odebear, people like that, it means that we've got pace and we've got spontaneity and we've got just creativity. Yeah, we've got purpose, but we've got
with purpose. That's what's in my head. Adrian, before I bring you in, let me bring in Spain. We are in for Messi Junior. So, Jose, good to see the sangria going down that well. Yeah, and just cheers. I think a lot of people wishing Jose well. So, absolutely. The question from I'll maybe come back to this. Do we need to sort of midfield out? What teams play 4-4-2 unless they're desperate? Funnily enough, I think 4-4-2 would work really well with us, but I just don't. No one plays 4-4-2, yeah, it looked like Kudus has been given the green light to travel across the front 3. I expect, Adrian, that our system is going to be really fluid under Thomas Frank.
Yeah,
I don't see players being pigeonholed into positions.
I mean, Tom alluded to like having a front 3 or a combination of front 3 that frighten opponents to death. I want to remind people, if you didn't ever see it, of a quote that Aaron Lennon said. He said, like, when he was playing for Spurs, he said he was always having to face 2 players marking him, right? But he said when Gareth Bale came, he went, game changer. It's all different. We could just terrorise the opposition, basically. You know, so yeah. I mean, Yeah, he was very good. Look, the only thing with Kudus, I ain't knocking his quality or anything like that. I know he didn't have the greatest of seasons, and West Ham were only a bit less crappier than we were last season. But I want to see more goals from him. He does score bangers though as well, right? But I want to see goals from him, right? Under Frank, well, we'll see. You know, because we've got to keep our goal scoring rate up if we attend England. We're all getting like excited now instead of thinking we're going to finish like 10th or 8th. We're all looking at a top 5 max probably position with all the competition that's out there with bigger and better squads than we've got.
Well,
that's, you know,
we're
so
going to talk about Croatian and about getting excited, but
just
evening lads, great stream. Thank you.
mate.
We can't tell you how much we appreciate those comments. There's right. In fact, the numbers went to 100. They've just dropped down. But please, if you're watching, hit the like button. Adrian, actually, before we go on to the wonderful Vuskovic, you go through your little bit about the banners you showed earlier, and it's
right. Okay.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about,
Well, yeah, Spurs Diehards. We're a fledgling group. We've been going for about a year. We've got 4 excellent admins. Our shows go out Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 o'clock. I host Tuesdays. Tom's going to help me host during the European Champions League campaign. He'll be helping me with doing that. He'll be hosting if I'm at games or whatever, and he's not, vice versa. Druzilla hosts Friday. I just co-host with him. And like today, I co-host with Tom with Ian on a Sundays. We do have other groups we're involved in. I mean, I started a Facebook group in 2019 when the Spurs Stadium opened. So we've got 14,500 members now. We've got a page. We just started to grow now. It's gone past 300, but it hasn't been going long. We've got a Facebook page on it. XCOM, Spurs Diehards and XCOM has got about 3,260 or something like that. It's picked up. Yeah, so we pride ourselves on being a mature and sensible group. Some people might laugh at that, but yeah, and fact-based as well. We like to bring facts rather than waffle as well, So if you like our content, please subscribe to the channel. You can see what we can't see, which is that red subscribe YouTube button in the bottom right-hand corner. Just hit that. We got 1,200, I think, subscribers at the moment, which is pretty good for first year. Obviously, we want to grow, and with your help, we will. So if you like us, please subscribe, smash the like button, leave a comment if you feel like it. And like I say, if you do like other forms of media that we're involved in, go ahead and join, okay? And thanks a lot. And thanks to you in chat as well.
I did a show on Friday with that Druzilla hosted, a Die Hard show. And I said, I really want to see Vuskovic given some minutes because I'd like to see what he can do. And I put that headline up. Those of you that remember Evander Holyfield, Luka the real deal Vuskovic. I was staggered at how good he was that early. I know it's Reading and I know it's whatever, but for a player of 18 to look that comfortable in that environment, ignoring his goal and his assist, he just looked like he was born to play at that level, Callum.
He's a big old lad, ain't he? He's a big fucker at 18. I'm not going to lie.
He's still growing. He's
already like 6'7". I mean, Jesus Christ, we're going to have an NBA player on our hands. But no, I mean, he's big, he's bullshit. And I mean, I was talking to my dad about it, and he's sort of old school coach. And if you've got a big lad at that age coming at you, defenders are going to back off like, what the hell? Strikers are going to back off as well. He's combative, he's fast. I mean, I was actually surprised how quick he is for someone that tall. The recovery that he did in there, the reflex actions that he's got as well. I mean, for him to knock the ball on first to from Kudus doing his good corner in, knocking it onto Lancashire to put into the net was great. But then the composure that he has to then shoot outside the box or just on the edge of the box. I mean, a midfielder or a striker would have been proud of that strike, wouldn't they, as well? And then within
Callum,
Well, exactly. That's the thing. And then 5 minutes later, he then clears off the line as well. I mean, what can you ask? What more can you ask for? And I know it's against Reading, and I know it's a pre-season friendly, but this guy is so highly rated by the Spurs staff. And if anyone says that he's going to be loaned out, they're completely wrong. Spurs had an inquiry 2 weeks ago about from Hertha Berlin to take him on loan. And Spurs, in no uncertain terms, told him to poke it where the sun don't shine. They are not interested. They view this guy as probably the 4th or 5th centre-back choice this year.
Anyone who thinks he ought to go on loan probably doesn't know anything about football. I saw enough from that lad in 45 minutes to think that boy could be in the first team before the end of the season, injury crisis or not. Tom, before I bring you in, I'm going to read something. This is clean off the Wikipedia page. Style of play. Standing at 1.93 metres, 6'3", Vuskovic holds an advantage amongst young players due to his height. He is notable for his positioning and ability to contemplate the opposition's plans and act accordingly. His heading abilities are also characteristic, making him a danger to the opposition during set pieces. For this reason, he is amongst the top goal scorers among young players, even though he plays as a centre-back. His imposing physique gives him an advantage as a defender, while his quick thinking and ball distribution help facilitate attacks. Jacek Kulik, a scouting expert, I don't know him, stated that Vuskovic has no significant weaknesses. Vuskovic's style of play has been compared with that of the Spanish international Gerard Piqué, while Vuskovic himself named Josko Gvardiol as his football model. Tom, big words indeed for a boy of 18.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because I don't want to get carried away.
But you can. You can.
But football's about getting carried away, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, it's all about who knows when we're going to win another trophy again. So the fact that we won that trophy, we should go all in on that. Like, that's the one thing that I very much believe with Ange and backed with Ange is that you have the right to dream, you have the right to be hyperbolic, you have the right to be, because who knows when that moment's going to come back around again with stuff, right? So I do think he is going to be one of the, if not the best centre back he has the potential to be the best centre back in the world, absolutely. There's no one else at his age who is better currently. So he has that potential. It's just whether or not he can keep grounded and live up to that potential, and not just in the short term, but for his whole career and stuff as well. And that is just a time thing. You're only going to see in time whether that's going to be the case. But I'm so pleased that we have him at our club. He is 100% going to be involved in. He easily plays 20, 25 plus games for us this season, easily, if not full games, but appearances off the bench. And I think you will definitely see him used as a weapon from set pieces. If we're looking for a goal in the last few minutes of a game, absolutely bet your life that he is coming on the pitch. But I think what for me was quite opened my eyes to, actually, I think he's going to be our third he's going to be our fourth choice centre back currently, is the fact that Danso started as the left centre back yesterday rather than playing as the right centre back. So it's clear that they're trying to get Danso used to covering for Van der Ven and Vuskovic covering for Romero. One thing I wouldn't be surprised of is actually if Van der Ven plays a few games as a left back, and have kind of like a lopsided back three, so that Van der Ven's playing that position, and then you could actually have Romero and Vuskovic, or you could even do that the other side, although I'm not as big a fan of that, is where you could possibly have either Vuskovic or Romero as a right back, and then have the other one playing in a centre back with thing. And because the thing is, he's such a weapon from set pieces, I do feel like Frank and Cochran are going to want to try and find a way of fitting him in to the team, which doesn't mean leaving Romero or Van der Ven out as well. But I think what's nice is we have options. If if we get into a Premier League weekend and Romero's injured, I'm now not going to be panicking, going off. Oh, it's Ben Davis going to be playing like a centre back. I'm going to be like, right, we've either got Vuskovic or we've got Danso who's coming in. Great, you know.
I saw someone on social media yesterday on the WhatsApp group saying sell Romero, but maybe their tongue was in their cheek.
Oh yeah, that's there was very much tongue in cheek. That was me being hyperbolic, as I was saying. No, I mean I wouldn't sell Romero unless he doesn't sign a contract. We went over that last week. You know, in my position, there's
we will come
no way
on
I'd
to
want
that.
Romero staying.
Can I catch up with the chat again?
He was
Adrian before I bring you
great.
Let me go.
You should know me, Ian. I always say hyperbolic things, tongue in cheek. Never take anything I say in a WhatsApp chat serious.
Yeah, no. I know when you're joking and when you're serious. I'll Beast. I don't know what your first name is. We will come back to that. We'll talk about the link.
Brett. I think his name's Brett, actually. Beast.
Brett.
Oh, is it Brett? It's Brett, is it?
Okay,
oh, okay.
Brett, hi, I'll try and remember that. Brett. Okay. I mean, comfortable with both. Absolutely. I mean, Vuskovic had Kudus after his goal, and Kudus looked like a child. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Vuskovic is the real deal. I mean, that's from that harmless potato. I mean, I just think he was scary good, and a long way to go. And no, he's not going to start in the first team ahead of Romero. But I think, as Tom put it, if Romero's injured and Vuskovic comes in, you're not nervous.
The one thing I will say is when Kinski played his first game for us, everyone was ranting and raving, going, "Oh, we've got the next best thing." And quite shortly after, I said, "Let's not get too carried away. It's been one game and stuff like that. It's been 45 minutes. Yeah. Let's not get too carried away. Let's see how he goes through the season." But he's definitely going to play a big part of this season.
Well, I mean, in the days when we weren't paying the monies we were paying out for young kids, I mean, like Lancashire, I mean, he was at Arsenal at 17, went to Sheffield, and we paid like 2 or 3 mil for him. We paid like 2 or 3 mil for Phillips, right? When Vuskovic was 16, we paid 12 million for him. 12 million for a kid of 16. Let that sink in, right?
Yeah.
Every club in Europe was after him.
Sorry, Adrian, I'm stopping you because I want you to those comments to fill with what Daniel's saying.
Okay.
You know what you're saying and Daniel's saying in the chat that I put up is 100% right. Just bring that into your thoughts, can you?
Yeah.
Can you read it?
Yeah, you got to look at the scouting by Spurs. There we signed him. He was complete unknown in 2 years. He wasn't a complete unknown. He attracted a lot of attention as a young player because he was so good in his age group. We loaned him out. He's already become cap. Yeah, I think he's got 4 caps. I think he's got 4, which tells you. And we've been pretty good with Croats. I mean, Kranjčar wasn't bad. Modric was okay, wasn't he? You know what I mean?
Well, Adrian, just to link into that, Vuska has got a lot of praise from Modric as well. He's waxed lyrical about this kid and all that. So really big praise. But no, I mean, we beat Man City. We beat Real Madrid to his signing. These big powerhouses of Europe were looking at him. That's the thing. And we got there first because we were prepared to stump up the money for him.
I mean, I know it's only Reading again, as Ian rightly said, and sort of like Tom sort of alluded to it as well about not getting too overexcited. But what's striking about him is when he went from Split to the Polish side, he didn't need 5 or 6 games to settle in. When he's got a Westerlo with Divine, he didn't need 5 or 6 games to settle in. And people, I posted a video for everyone to watch it. It's only a 5-minute video. People can go and watch him. He's just like, and then yesterday in an 8-minute spell, he gets an assist. That goal he scored with his left foot, he's right-footed. Right, and he scores with his left foot, right, and that technique. Kane would have been proud of that goal. Any of us would have been proud. And then with the block, fine. I think it was covered by the goalkeeper. Had it covered, but don't know. You never know on that. He reads the game so well, though. This is what he's got a maturity beyond his years. He just reads the game so well. When I've watched him, Tom accused me a couple of podcasts ago, like thinking like this was the second coming of Christ. I think, right? But I mean, like, but no, that's fair comment because like he's still got to do it in the Prem. He's only done it, but he's shown a bit more than someone who's just got potential. This kid's class. I mean, like his balance is like his composure. I mean, like, and he passes the ball better than all our centre backs, barring Romero. He's better on the. He's just better. He's just a natural sort of complete footballer, in my opinion. But it's not. He's got to do it in the Prem, isn't he? He's got to do it in the Prem. So he's still got to show it. But there's good reason to be excited about this kid because he's 18. He was 18 in February. That's why we couldn't include him in the squad because it had to be done in January, right? So yeah, I mean. And he's still growing, guys. He's still growing, like, you know.
I mean, I started this with, as I say, on Drew's show on Friday, saying I really want to see this boy get some minutes. But I'm waxing lyrical because actually he was 10 times better than I dared dream he might be, and he's still a kid. Let's look at a negative. Son was bloody awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, but I mean, there was once where the defender got the ball on the left wing. He went to look to take the man on, but he didn't take the ball, and the defender just walked off with the ball. I mean, it was like, my God! I said it's Bill. You won't be old enough to remember you two at the bottom, but Billy's boots. If you know what Billy, yeah. Do you know that story? It was one of the old soccer comics in the old days where Billy couldn't play football. He couldn't barely stand up in it, but he discovered he found his grandfather's old football boots, who was an ex-pro. And when he put his grandfather's football boots on, he suddenly became a world beater. And whenever he couldn't find his boots, or they were lost, or they needed repair, he played like a complete buffoon. And Son was just, I mean, it was embarrassingly bad. What can I say? Seriously, Callum, what can I say about
on that? I mean, like that. This is Basuma, right? I'll be glad when he's gone out of this club. I'll support all the players who are at the club. I'll be glad he's gone. Basuma does 2 or 3 things Jinky United are good, and then gives a crap pass to Son after and destroys all the good work that he's done to get the ball. And Son looked at him in disgust, and so would I, because that was the easiest thing he had to do in that little dribble he was doing, right? And like I'm thinking, like you have to give Son the ball when he's running on. At Ipswich away, when Archie Gray hit that long ball through to Son, right? He's running onto it, right? When Bentancur did the same thing in Ipswich away, we won 4-1, didn't we? I think, right? Again, he's running onto it. Like when you're giving the ball to Son when he's got his back to the goal, like most players do, rather than try and beat a player on the half turn, they'll take the easy option and pass the ball back, right? And like you've got to utilize Son in the right way, you know. And a lot of the problems with our wingers have been in the past is we don't get the ball out to them quick enough. We don't get the ball out to them quick enough, in my opinion. But back to you, Ian.
Yeah, Tom. I don't like to say this, but it's not a sentimental game. Is it time for Sonny to leave for pastures, maybe for an easier league than the EPL?
I think it's possibly. I think we do need to take a little bit into consideration that he was the last player to return back to training. I think he only had about 5 or 6 days training before this game. So I think that does need to take into consideration a little bit. I think if Son's staying means that we can't sign a player who is going to be for our future and elevate us in that terms, then he needs to go. But if Son is able to stay and it doesn't affect any of our transfer business in incomings, then I don't have an issue with him staying around as long as he's happy to be a bit part player that comes on from the bench and is a bit of more of an impact player. With the odd, rotational game and stuff like that. It is sad to see this decline, but every player goes through. Every player gets old. Every player gets worse. They go into their peak and then they get worse. This is a normal thing that's happening, and I think it just hits harder with Son because we have such an affinity to him. Because when Kane up sticks and left, he signed a new contract. He stuck with us when we were probably at our worst moment in the last 10 15 years. And I think that's why it hurts maybe a little bit more than normal. But I still think he, we're saying that he's not the son of the past and that he's not very good, but he still scored double digits last year. So I have every confidence that he could probably do that again this year, but I don't want it to be at the detriment to someone like Tell developing, or to someone like Moore developing, or whoever it might be on that left side, Odebear. But at the same time, like if I was to say to you now, next season, right in this moment, who's going to score more goals, Son or Tell? Who would you bet your money on?
Son.
And that's the difficulty, right?
Look,
because I would probably say Son as well.
Yeah, we've got a big
I would say Son as well.
Campaign on 4 fronts. We need his experience. We need the experienced players in the club, and he will get us goals. Now he didn't look great on the eye test, but his numbers were good last season. I watched him. I thought, he's still banged in the goals. He's still got goals. And when he's on form, the ones that he blasts over the bar, he's normally put in the net. It wouldn't surprise me.
Would you rather Son be a bench player who's coming on as a substitute and impacting games, and you still have that potential finishing ability? Because at the end of the day, he can still score goals. He still knows how to find the back of the net. Would you rather have him as a bench player, or would you rather him just go completely?
No, I'd have him as a bench player.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'd have him as a bench player as long as it doesn't affect us getting in other players. If him being here means that we can't buy a player that we need for the future moving forward, then I would probably have a bit more of a disagreement. But before I'd see Son go, I'd see Richarlison go, I'd see Basuma go, I'd see Solomon go, I'd see
Gill.
Davis, Gill. Yeah, there's so many players I would see go rather
Davies
than,
won't go.
Than Son.
Davies won't go because at the moment we only have 7 homegrown players, not including the youngsters with Davis. If we get Gibbs White, it'd be 8, right?
Yeah.
So Davis won't be going. So Richarlison, Frank likes him. The point is
there's lots of other players I'd rather see go before Son, as much as I don't like seeing this client. And by the way, when I was saying who do I think is going to score more goals, Son and Tell, I definitely think Tell could score 15, 16, maybe even 20 goals this season. I think he has that potential in him. But if I was to bet right now, my odds would be more on that Son would be able to score more goals than Tell this season, just because that's what history has told us.
Yeah, it just depends who's playing on the left. Who do you play on the left? I mean, you've got Son and you've got Tell. Unless Richie plays on the left in some games. I mean, you got Mikey Moore, right? But where's the experience? With the way that Frank's going to play,
with the way that Frank's going to play, he's going to be saying that with the way that Frank's going to play, those wingers, they're not going to be touchline wingers. They're going to be more inverted. They're going to be closer to the goal, which is what Son. Whenever Son's played his best football, he's always been a winger that's been closer to the goal. So that's where he could be effective. But we would be lying if we didn't say that he hasn't lost a yard or two of pace. And actually, pace was one of his biggest assets as a player.
I think he's lost confidence and I think he's lost composure. This is one of my worries, is that the number of times now he's gone through one-on-one where it was almost a slam dunk goal. He's probably 60% going to miss, 40% going to score. And that wasn't the song we saw under Kane.
No, I completely agree. But Son's through on goal and he scores 40% of the time. Compare that to other players. That's still higher and better than other players. And that's because we have Son has set such a high standard to himself. Like I used to say, even when Kane was in his pomp, if there was a player running through one-on-one, who would you want it to be to score that winning goal? You would say Son, because you just knew left foot, right foot, wherever he was, he could finish it. He's set such a high standard to himself that we get frustrated when he isn't scoring goals from the edge of the box like he always used to do. But yet he still scored, like I said, double digits last year. I would love for him to have a happy sunset ending and go off, as long as, like I said, the only way I'd want to see Son go is if we bring in a big player in his place. And I don't know who that player is. instantly that springs to the top of my mind, but I don't think he would score as many goals as Son, is Liao. But that's the sort of level that I'm thinking. Like if he's going to go, you need to bring someone in, and I think Tell probably will. I don't think he'll get to Son's level, but I think he will be a very, very handy left forward, like in the future. But he ain't that now.
Callum, you probably know more than anyone about this, and one of the reasons why we love having you on this show. This is my list, okay? Deliberately to be the host and to put names in there that we need to raise money if we want to bring some players in. We're going to talk about the kind of players and specific names of players we're looking to bring in. We know that at least I think we know, we're trying to raise somewhere in the region of £100 million to give us a total spend of 200, a net spend of 200 plus 100 in outgoings, 300 million in total. Give me your thoughts and any knowledge you've got on those four as to who's staying, who's going, and who wants to stay and who wants to go.
Well, the great thing is we don't have to sell to raise money. That's the one positive for the club this year. It's just to sort of enhance what we want to do. But the problem that we've got, not one of these players is wanting to leave. And, well, Davis is very comfortable. He's not got much active interest, but there is a chance for him to go. But it'll be on, if they get a good offer, the Spurs won't stand in his way because he's earned that trust. He's got that. They can look to kind of deal with the homegrown issue in one way or another. That's kind of eased a little bit in the last week after seeing what they're exploring at the club. Same with Sonny. There's probably a good chance that he stays with us for the next couple of weeks. They'll then sit down and assess where it is. Some stuff could ride on whether he stays as part of the captain leadership group or not. There's a good chance he may not be captain. But if a good offer comes in, mainly from Germany is the interest at the moment, then he could go. Richie is being a pain in the backside. They've had interest. The interest is not from Everton, though. Everyone has asked about links on that. That one's been there, seen it, done it, long gone. The interest is not from Brazil either. I saw someone say about Palmeiras going for a 55 million offer this year. Not one Brazilian club has that much money to hand. Let's put it that way. I don't think the whole of Brazilian football have got that much money unless it comes through white powdered bags. Let's put it that way. So I think we'll be all right on that one. So he could go to Saudi. There's minor interest from the MLS. Premier League interest is very limited. So Spurs will look to move him on, but it's going to be a slow burner. Biss, there has been interest from Palace and Forest, and they're linked to certain deals, obviously, that I know we'll talk about later on, which had come up in discussions, but Biss don't want to go either. The most active people that Spurs want to move on are Richarlison, Basuma. Solomon has still got the Leeds interest, and there was a reported interest on, well, there was a reported injury at the weekend. I know Ali Gold reported it. In all honesty, I think it's that there's a transfer discussion going on to move him out, and Brian Hill is apparently out in Spain at the moment doing rehab, but he's been around Hotspur way this year as well. So they actively want to move all of these players on. And if they can, then will be youth players to follow that as well, being on loan for it. But I don't know whether you want me to cover them or not at the moment, or whether you want me to do them later on.
Well, I can cover it. I mean, I've just thrown names in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Phillips more maybe not, but Donnelly, Devine. There might be other names. I've just put some names up just to start the discussion.
So there's a good chance Phillips will go out on loan. George Abbott as well. Yan-Min Hook's going to be assessed, but there's a good chance he could go out as well. Luke Gunter, they're looking to loan out. The club are actively in discussions to loan out Tyrese Hall and Callum Olosesi as well to League One. That was reported to me yesterday. as well. So that one could come to fruition in the next 2 weeks or so. Obviously, the more untouchable at the moment, unless a brilliant offer came in from somewhere like Dortmund. I did see links to that. I don't think there's much legwork to do on that one at the moment. If he was to go, it'd have to be a top Premier League or a Premier League loan or a top European loan. Nothing League One, Championship, anything like that. Donnelly's untouchable at the moment. Same with Lancashire. Devine 50-50 on that one. I believe that if he has another good game against Luton, if he does play, then I think we will be potentially looking to loan him out to top Championship or low Premier League club.
Is there
Ajayi scored 4 goals for Doncaster? That's more than what he got all last season.
He's doing brilliantly for them, and the club are really happy with him. They don't know whether he'll sort of like make it at Spurs, but there's high hopes if he has a good loan this year. I think he's in League. Is it League One or League Two? Doncaster in at the moment.
League Two, I think, aren't they?
League Two. So they think that probably he could make it into League One or Championship next year, like how Abbott is. I mean, the aim is to send Abbott to Championship as well, because I think he's really done well. But no, not really positive at the moment.
Let me come in, because I want to bring the chat in as well. There's a number of messages. Just going with what we're saying, though, Callum, before I bring the others in the chat in, are we not in a situation, though, that unless we move players away permanently or on loan, there simply isn't the squad room to bring fresh signings in?
That's the problem that we're in at the moment, because I think actively, even with the lease going out, with Keeley being sold, we're still sitting at about 31 or 32 players. We actively need to move a lot of these players out. And even though we can put these youth players on B lists and secondary rosters, we've still got a lot of foreign players in there that need to go out. And we've got a lot of players. The club would consider deals for Solomon Hill, Richarlison, Basuma, Dragusin if they could, but his injuries limiting him to what he can do, Davis and Son. That's actually 7 or 8 players from first team level that they'd look to move on, even before considering youth exits as well. So there's space, but it could impact our business, where we'll end up with players like Reguilon, who just sat around and trained but didn't do much last year. It could be how Whiteman and Austin became after certain periods. The same with Dragusin, how he was at some points as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know where I was something I made it. It's like Blue Peter's one I made earlier. But we had 22 players on the field. There were 3 players that didn't play at all. And there was no Decky, Madison. Well, even ignoring Dragusin, no Decky, Madison, Tell, Odebear or Gray. So
you're at 29 there already, aren't you?
So, and that's, and we're going to talk about maybe bringing 3 or 4 in. Plus, we're going to talk about a couple of youth players as well. I mean, with the best will in the world, you can't fit in 35 players unless you're Chelsea, and find room for them all.
No, all you can do to encourage them to leave is to turn and say to Richie, although Frank has said good words about, or Basuma, or Gill, or Son, or Davies isn't going because he's homegrown, right? But all you can say to him is, look, guys, you're not really part of my plans. You're not going to get much game time, and I'm not going to add you to the European Champions League squad. Now, that might encourage him to leave. And Richarlison's looking forward to getting a Brazil squad for the 2026 World Cup. I don't know if Basuma's nation have qualified. Was it Mali? Is it Mali he's with? Or I can't recall.
Basuma's Mali, isn't he? Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they've qualified or not. Someone have to tell me in the chat. But there are ways you can encourage them without being, without being brutal. Let's put it that way.
You're not going to be in the squad.
Yeah.
You're not getting a squad number.
And the thing is, this registration as well, because you have to post that 25-man squad, 8 minimum Premier League and 17 foreigners max.
Mm.
And if not, I mean, it's different with the under-21s. Then you've got a registration issue. If you don't register that player, basically, my understanding is they can just walk.
I think that must be right.
I'm not totally sure on that. I mean, like, yeah,
They're still under contract. Even if they're not registering the thing, they're still under contract as an employee of
but
the
I
club.
think
They can't
FIFA,
just walk.
FIFA can rip up their code and say, if you don't register a player to play, you can't hold. You're effectively making him a slave, Tom, because you're saying we can't register you to play. We'll pay you wages, but you can't play football.
There's a chance that if they remain at the club, they'll be Premier League registered only, and we can comply with the Premier League stuff. That's not the issue. They can be registered for cup games and all of that rubbish. You could, because there's no sort of registration around Carabao, FA Cup, all of that. They just come under the nation qualified players. But Champions League is where we will pretty much just go, no, you're not welcome. You're not wanted. There may be a turnaround on maybe one or two of them. I think, if anything, Sonny, Biss, and Davis will be the ones that may be sort of like that. I think Richie, Frank likes him, but he just doesn't trust him with his injuries. And Solomon and Hill is just a club no-no from them. They just want to try and get any money they can back on them to remove them as an active problem. And that's the thing. I mean, Hill's valued at less than 10 million now. We paid 30 million for this geezer, plus Eric Lamela. What a loss we're going to make. How can a club loan him back to his own club twice and then to another place in Spain and fail so miserably? Solomon is a free transfer, so if we get 20 million out of him, it's pure profit sort of thing. So that one kind of balances it, but it doesn't make up for the waste of money.
Let me catch up with the chat if I can, and therein lies the problem, and therein going to say this with football fans and opinions. I think it's time for Son to go. It should be his choice, but I hope he decides his time's up. And then Nita comes in. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Sorry, Nita. Yeah.
Big up Nita, by the way.
Yeah. There. Sorry, Nita, I pulled up the wrong quote. We are so disrespectful to our senior players in this country, and European teams never becomes a problem till the player who's ready to leave. So there's two completely diametrically opposed opinions.
Maybe it's because we're too sentimental about our players.
I'm brutal. I'm not being sentimental. I love Sonny to bits, but I just think it's time to go.
Well, remember what bit us on the arse before? We ended up with Ericsson getting older. We had Delhi completely fall off the bandwagon. We had Kane who got older. We had Alderweireld who got older. Moussa Dembele, Rose, Alderweireld. On them players, we actively lost money apart from Kane. Look at that. We was too sentimental.
Never sell the player at their peak. Absolutely. I mean, this is going to divide. So I'm not going to maybe go through every quote, but Sonny's going to divide opinion from those who still love him, who still think he can do a job, and those of us who we all love him, but don't think he can do a job. Archer's quote here: Solomon apparently injured again. I haven't seen that.
No, I haven't.
That would not be good.
It was reported by Ali Gold yesterday, but from what I heard from in the club, he just wasn't selected. Just not favoured at all.
Yeah. Okay. Some more stuff there. There are 218 of you now on board, and it's growing all the time, and it should grow because we're going to start talking some real meat. We've been on an hour and 20 minutes. It's not as if it hasn't been. We're going to talk the meaty transfers. 220. I said it's going up all the time. Guys, please
sorry, Ian. I've got to go to bed now. Mate.
Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button, and there is a little alarm clock notification button. please tick that for all notifications. One, so you know we're on. We're also doing lots of little shorts. So if there's any breaking news, we will bring it to you as soon as we can. We pride ourselves on the content of being relevant, up to date, mature. And so please subscribe to the channel, like it, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We will bring you everything we can as early as we can. Right, let's go back then to where we're at. Let's just deal with the basic stuff. Dorrington's gone back to Aberdeen. That's a year's loan. No option, no obligation, no nothing, just a straight loan.
Yeah.
Straight loan.
He did have a bad ACL injury at the back of last season, though.
Yeah.
He's coming back from that. I don't know if that's affected the club's influence. Want to see how you're going to go for the next couple of seasons. I don't know.
Aberdeen will be in Europe again by virtue of winning the Scottish Cup. He looked decent at that level, but for every, St Johnson and Hearts and whatever, there's still, 4 games a year against Rangers, 4 games a year against Celtic, plus European games. So we'll see how he does. He got an own goal in the Scottish Cup final, but he still ended up with a winner's medal. So
against your team, Ian, let's just put that in there.
Say that again.
Against your team, Celtic. I thought I'd just throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit tired of Celtic, to be honest, but that's another. Keeley deal, Callum. There's been a lot of talk about this. There's no sell on. There's no. Oh God, sorry. It's not fine. Sorry, I need to edit that before.
No buyback. Just there'll be a sell-on clause.
This was me.
There'll be a sell-on clause. This is Levy we're talking about here.
Yeah. Where's my edit button? Hey, this is live television, guys. It's look, I can't do it, and I don't want to mess this back.
Live television and Ian being crap with technology.
Yeah, absolutely. But I host a bloody good show because there's 223.
Yes, he does. He's a good host.
So it can't be that.
What about if I go now? You got no transfer news, and then I don't give you anything for your shorts either.
I will just wing it. I will say that Morgan Gibbs-White will be signing for Everton tomorrow. It's an exclusive story brought to you. Yeah. Okay. Callum, you tell us. This is the deal, right? This isn't internet speculation. This is the truth.
Yeah, as it's been reported to me by club sources. So there was talk, as reported by a number of different sources, that Keeley was in talks for a new deal with Spurs, looking like extending. That came to sort of a hiatus about Monday or Tuesday time, where it just become apparent there was no clear pathway for about 1 to 3 years within Spurs because of Vicario, Kinski, Austin, and Gunter being ahead of him, sort of thing. He can't be registered as a homegrown player because of being at St Patrick's for so long as well, so he would never class as homegrown. Luton came up with a very good deal. It actually had a link between Dean Brill and them, I believe, as well. He used to play for Luton, so the interest was sort of bought in. And I think Luton have got a very good keeper out of this, and Spurs they're happy with the deal, to be honest. They've got 2 million as a base fee and including add-ons, 45% sell-on, and there's a 5 million buyback clause after 2 years. So it's not straight away we can buy him back next year for 5 million. It's after 2 seasons, where Spurs probably hope that he's going to be towards a Premier League or Championship level keeper, that we could then activate it, like what we had with Dennis Sirkin and his buyback clause a couple of years ago as well.
Yeah, I mean, if they sell him for 10 million, we get 4.5 million. So
no, exactly.
Minutes, So I mean, and you say there's Vicario, there's Kinski, there's Whiteman, there's Austin, and there's Gunter. I mean, with the best will in the world, you don't need 6 goalkeepers that might potentially play in the first team.
No, exactly. And there's plenty of other youth keepers who are
Sam Archer,
Sam Archer, Aaron Maguire, as well. There's the new youth keeper coming in from City as well into the second year scholars year group, I believe. So literally we're pretty well stocked at keepers at the moment, to be honest. And I have to give it to Keeley. He's got the guts to say, look, thank you very much. You give me a chance. You give me the springboard to go on, but I need to move on for the best of my career. And he's not one of them keepers that's happy to just sit around and rot on a subs bench, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian, your thoughts on Keeley going to Luton?
My thoughts are the same. And being realistic, I mean, I loved watching. I mean, the under-21s were a joy to watch the other season. We won everything. But realistically, I know that if a few of them get through this first team squad, most of them are going to be sold. And we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep bringing in young, good talent because after Dean Rastrick left, this was all down to Paratici. We ripped up the pay structure at the academy. And so now we can bring these players in. And so we'll bring them in. We'll keep bringing them in case we get a generational talent like a Mikey Moore or a Vuskovic, you know. But look, let's not kid ourselves. Most of these players are going to be sold. And they're still going to go on and be millionaires because they're that quality to make our academy. Even if they're playing in the championship, they're going to make mega bucks, more money than we ever will. So, like, you know, I just think, you know, you hope. I hope that this crop were the best crop I've ever seen at this football club. I hope that we can do an Alex Ferguson. I hope that like 4 or 5 come through. Do I see it realistically? I'm not gonna like get sentimental about this. It's not happening. I'd like to think that more Donnelly will definitely come through. I think they've really got something about them. See, there's a few that have diviners as well, you know. So, but like, you just think, where's the pathway? When now we've got money and we're bringing players in, like a Kudus, the Morgan Gibbs White, that pathway narrows. Stuart Lewis has just been promoted to be the halfway house guy that goes to the manager and says, these academy players, I know you ain't got time to look at them, but you really should look at him and him or whatever. He's been promoted, and so he should be. And or is it Wayne Burnett's been promoted? I'm not sure which one it is.
So, Tom, let me bring you in. You got any thoughts on this before we move on? Because I do want to talk. Try not to run over 2 hours, but I do want to talk about some of the incomings. It's a bit like those of you that were watching at the beginning the Led Zeppelin concert, where you're just waiting to hear "Stairway to Heaven," you know. And we're an hour and a half in. You know, they're going to play
the forbidden guitar riff. Yeah. No, I mean, like Adrian said, I think fair play to the kids. You know, he's put his big boy pants on and said he wants to play football, and if that's not us, then he'll go elsewhere to find it. And I think, like you said, we've got an absolute dearth of goalkeeper talent, and you know, we are seemingly buying more players now and spending bigger bucks. So that is going to be harder for these players to break through the thing, but the whole point of the academies is not to supply your full 11 players. Like, it's to, you know, if from each year 1 or 2 make it into your first team, then you're doing incredibly well. So, you know, the point is we get these players in. The fact that we're actually sending players on decent loans now means that if they're not coming back to come into our team, they're coming back to be sold for money. Like, if we had sold Keeley last year, we wouldn't have got this amount of money. We would have been looking like at 6 digits rather than 7 digits, right? So for all intents and purposes, it's been a fantastic loan because it's increased his value, it's increased his name. He's been able to get a decent move to a decent enough team. Okay, they're in League One now, but a decent enough team, and we've got a decent, you know, money for him and good potential sell on after that. So yeah, it's perfect at doing what we need it to be able to do.
One little bit to add on to this as well. The other team that did approach us over it was Orient, and the money that Luton offered, Orient didn't even offer half of that. They didn't have it. They couldn't do it. So literally, Luton had to do it. And if Orient had have gone up through the playoffs, I think Keeley would have gone their championship, at least definitely alone. But the fact that they didn't go up, the money that they've missed out on, I think will make Orient unfortunately suffer. And for me, they're my local team, being born in East London. So I love seeing Orient, and there's a good chance of potentially one youngster in the next 12 to 18 months at least going down to Orient. So Spurs are trying to build a feeder link with them directly as well. Just unfortunately, we couldn't do business with them on this deal because they couldn't afford it.
But that's one, Callum, you told us a week or so ago that we had no interest in KWP, and so it proved. Morgan's Gibbs White, apparently we've got interest in this boy, but that's unconfirmed.
Yeah, no, this is a slow burner, this one. So I spoke to a source today and I got a nice long paragraph which I'm going to read out for you guys. So it's Morgan Gibbs White wants Spurs. We knew about the clause because Forest accepted an 80 million bid from City with McAtee going the other way. So Forest have the because getting a player in return and the fee above the release clause. We knew his clause, we agreed it with them, and intermediaries alerted us to this, and we said we'd match the release clause. City were trying to do over it because to avoid the payment terms, and they could pay.
Can I ask you, Callum,
Yeah.
because I actually mentioned this, funnily enough, you're almost where I thought we might have been on Friday, and I was flying blind a little bit, that Manchester City had offered 60 million cash plus McAtee, making it a total about £80 million deal. And you've more or less confirmed that. But my question is, did City know about the buyout clause?
City did. City knew
They
about
did.
it, but only because they engaged with Forest.
Right, okay.
And they've
but
offered.
They were still prepared to say, we'll give you 60 million plus McAtee.
Because it would give them the payment terms they wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right, go on. Really interesting. So carry on with that paragraph. I've interrupted you because I needed clarification.
It's all right. So the first part of the medical was done, as he did with City. So the first part is where the clubs get trusted doctors to supply medical reports, everything like that. So all of that was handed over between Spurs and Forest accordingly. We accepted that just to move intricate ones complete. We then matched the release clause, and Morgan Gibbs White agreed to this to come to us. So Forest ultimately lost out on the deal from City of the 20 million and McAtee. The complexities come around that Forest can't say it was a secret or private, as it's legally by the contracts they agreed to sell. So the clause becomes public in theory. The burden of proof sits on them to prove how we obtained the information if we did it. It's more an issue of his representatives and not us. We've just agreed to sit back and let them get replacements at this present time, make them look like they're flexing a little bit, and we're looking like we've been told to hold off, but persisted, if you get what I mean. So Spurs are playing the waiting game here to let Forest simmer down, calm down a little bit, get who they want in. Because ultimately they want James McAtee to come in. They want this other player from Bologna, I believe, as well, this winger to replace Alanga. And the whole sort of feeling around it is that if they can get the players they want, this deal will open up. And
Jacob Ramsey as well. Jacob Ramsey as well.
That one's gone quiet on that front, to be honest. The sort of figures that Forest wanting to pay and Villa wanting, Villa want 60 or 70, Forest want to pay 30. So there's about a 40 million divide in there. So it's more likely McAtee will come into it, because ultimately McAtee doesn't want to go to Germany. He'd rather stay in the Premier League.
I mean, what I heard, Callum, was that although Forest cut off communications, they didn't, protest to the Premier League at all, because they knew they didn't have a leg to stand on that issue. So they haven't actually, and all this BS we get in the transfer window. I mean, I hate the transfer window personally. All this BS we get, about like this, that, and the other, or they'll chew over a transfer to it's like a worn out piece of chewing gum because they want to discuss every angle because it's clickbait basically for column inches, right? So to me, I don't think there's any issue. The only way Forest can stop Spurs and delay Spurs is to refuse to talk to them. But if you've actually sent physical evidence of like we are activating the release clause, you are now legally bound to accept that. You are legally bound. I mean, I'm not going to get in the ring with Ian over employment law because that's his profession, right?
No.
Maybe we're not sports employment law because there's so many employment laws abroad church. But so to me, and then you've got all these chats about, oh, Levy's willing to pay an extra 5 or 10 mil to sweeten the deal. Are you joking? We're talking Daniel Levy here, right? This isn't happening. The only way Spurs will offer more money, in my opinion, is if because of the rumours that it's 2 structured payments of 30 mil in the release clause, if that's true, like any of this story is true, right? Then Spurs might say, well, we might give you extra if you structure the payment over 4 or 5 years. So I'm not having it. See, Morgan's good White, mark my words, is going to be a Spurs player as far as I'm concerned.
That's the feeling around the club at the moment, that Gibbs White will eventually be a Spurs player. And this week has been very quiet because obviously Forest have notified the Premier League. They haven't lodged a complaint. They've notified the Premier League of intent, depending on how this situation goes. And it doesn't matter what way we're looking at it. Forest has stalled. They've blocked communication, i.e. what the media have said. Communication is still happening, but not directly through the clubs. It happens through intermediaries on this to stop all this grief going on. So it's all going backwards and forwards.
One thing I felt, and you get this with negotiations, the fact that nothing's happening in public at all. Neither club is making, and I don't know if the Premier League's been involved in this, Callum. I don't know if you know that maybe someone from the Premier League has said, hey, boys, this is bad for football. If you want to have a spat privately. Do not air this in public. But the fact that Marinakis, and you know what he's like, he's a bit of a hothead, has said nothing. Levy or anybody acting on behalf of the club has said nothing. That encourages me to think that this is a deal that is likely to happen. And if it means them getting in replacements and us being patient, then that's what we have to do.
That's sort of the feeling that I'm getting from the club at the moment, that they want to just let it simmer down, but they don't. Spurs don't like PR nightmares. Let's put it this way: there's been the fact to avoid that. That was the reason why Donna Cullen went. She didn't handle PR well. They want it to be quiet. They want to just go around their business. When you look at it in the broadest sense, in the last couple of years, Spurs transfer leaks haven't really got out, have they? The Odebear deal turned up out of nowhere. The Will Lancashire deal turned out of nowhere. The Bergvall deal came out of nowhere. Dragusin sort of came out of realistically nowhere. This is what Spurs want. They don't want to be in the public eye. And I don't think Forest are sort of wanting it either, because the PR that they got was that if Elanga and Gibbs White went in 2 days, I mean, their fan base would probably set fire to Arthur Nottingham. That was the feeling. And I think that's what caught them unawares. And now that it's sort of all going backwards and forwards, even the sort of Premier League haven't really commented on this. They've been very quiet. And the Prem doesn't want this sort of stuff because they've had enough grief with City and Chelsea this year. Any of these little spats, they'd rather get the clubs to deal with it on a club level than a sort of league level. It doesn't bode well for them. If they can get their own lawyers to resolve it at a lower level, they will do. And I think it's going to end up as a mediation. That's my gut feeling. And that's sort of.
Callum, do you think they will fly out tomorrow on their warm weather training? It's not really a pre-season tour yet for Forest, but he's been listed in their squad to go out on their warm weather training, right? So, and they fly out tomorrow, and he's rumoured to have said, if it's true again, that I want it all resolved Monday, right? So, I mean, I don't think it makes any difference. It doesn't take long to fly back from a country to this country if you're abroad anyway. Right? So whether he goes out with the squad and all that, that doesn't tell me anything. I mean, like, but do you think it's significant at all or not?
Not particularly. I mean, like we said earlier, there's EasyJet flights from Lisbon and Benfica and all them places to London Stansted Airport, 2 hours every day and all that. I think that him going out there, he's not the sort of player that's going to say, I want this resolved. These players have no control over it. If the clubs are doing business, it's down to the clubs to agree, then the player to agree. That's how it is. And I don't think it's going to be sorted tomorrow. I think it'll be sorted in the next 2 weeks. If Spurs decide this week to just go, right, this ain't going our way, we're not prepared to wait, we'll move on. There's plenty of other players here, and there is sort of all of that. Well, I've just been called deluded in the chat, which is great. Thanks very much for that. Really appreciate that. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so we can fly players back. Remember, Kane trained the whole of pre-season with us that year before he went to Bayern. We had that stupid journalist from, I think, was it Plettenberg or whatever his name was, from Bild and Plettigol. He was doing all of the stuff. Kane did the Korea tour, the Japan tour, all of that stuff was with Angie's squad. He was in the Shakhtar game.
Good point,
and then he went straight out to Germany after that once they finally agreed. Because remember, Spurs said they want nothing to do with Bayern after the first offer. They stopped talks.
Yeah.
Bayern then opened talks again, offered the fee that Spurs wanted. They then went through, agreed the terms. Kane was gone within 48 hours. That's how quickly the contracts could go.
But the thing is, if Forest don't put him in their team, it's almost an admission. Well, he's going. You can't play the pretend game. It was the same with Kane. We were never, if we'd have not put Kane in the side during those pre-season games, Bayern would have said, well, you've obviously given up the ghost. Why should we give you 80 million quid? Here's 60 million pound. You're not, you're selling him, so cut the crap.
Mm-hmm.
So, but 2 weeks rather than 2 days, because I think we were both optimistic last week this deal would be done by the end of this week.
There's also the issue of the fact that, all right, he could go on strike and kick up a fuss, but then he's going to lose loads of bonuses, isn't he? I mean, because
they'll do him for breach of contract, and that's when it'll get messy. He'll get done for breach of contract. There'll be all bridges burnt between him and the Forest fans, who he's got a really good relationship, and it doesn't really look good for us either. Because imagine if he wanted out of Spurs after 2 years, just say, and he went on strike for us, or if he does it at Forest. What if, just say, he came to Spurs and City tried to come in for him in 2 years, or Real Madrid came in for him for 2 years? Then that just means there's a petulant child in there. Whereas by him being professional and consummate, he's letting the people who have control over this, his agents and Forest and Spurs, do the business. He's just continuing what he's good at. He's good at football. He's doing his job. They're doing their job. And that's how these transfers are resolved. Whereas you've seen in the past.
I think a key factor here is the fact that you spoke about earlier, and the fact that Forest knew, Marinakis knew, right, that Gibbs White had no intention of signing the contract. So he's trying to work a deal with Man City. So now he's going to lose out, right? He's going to lose out about 20 million quid's worth, according to Ian here, right, on the McAtee deal, right? So then obviously, like, he would have gone to City, McAtee would have come to Forest. So, but there's this release clause, which like only the agent or, MGW himself or his family and friends, because, your family's, there'll be more than one or two people that know about this contract.
Can I, the comment there, we are Spurs TV. Good evening.
Good evening.
If we paid the release clause, why would we move on? There's something more to this story we don't know about. I've got to say, I mean, if it's just a matter, I don't know if you were on when we were talking about this earlier, and Callum was saying we've agreed to take a step back while they get their replacements in. Jacob Ramsey, the guy you said, I think from Bologna, the winger to replace Elanga, and if they get those players, then the thing will move quite quickly. And we perhaps have been accommodating to say, okay, we won't rock the boat anymore. But there is a point, isn't there, that contractually the player has, if someone's triggered the release clause, forget about the confidentiality and all that. Someone's triggered the release clause, you come in to sign for us.
Yeah, there's separate issues here. To me, there's separate issues. We've triggered it. They are legally bound to accept the fact that we've triggered it. Now, if you think we've done something wrong, that's a separate issue. That's a separate complaint. To me, I mean, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I mean, any thoughts about, because it's a good question.
Tom, what do you think? You've been quiet for a while.
I have just been sitting back and taking it in. To be honest with you, I feel like everything is all at this present moment is a PR exercise, and it's all about both teams saving face so that they don't look like the bad guys in the situation. Look, he's either going to sign for us or he isn't. I know that's a bit stupid saying that. It's either going to be heads or tails, right? But he's going to sign for us or he's not going to sign. We've matched the release clause, which means that, you know, Forest have to, by contract, have to accept that bid, and then it's down to then us to agree terms with Morgan Gibbs White. Just because you match a release clause doesn't mean that you get the player. The player still has the ultimate decision as to whether or not he goes under the contract that is offered and stuff. Look, who knows what's going to happen? You probably saw me laughing at one point because Callum mentioned about Donna Cullen and PR and that she was terrible at PR, yet her whole speciality and the reason why she was on the board was because she was meant to be a PR guru, and she was fucking awful at it. Long may her never come back to this club again. But you know, it's I really like Morgan Gibbs White as a player, and I think he adds an awful lot to our team, especially in a Frank system. The way he, you know, he's not afraid to try things. He will happily fail at making a pass to try and make a pass, like that. Which that sounds really ridiculous, but he'll happily play a risky pass to try and get a goal and not be scared of losing it. And that's a quality that's quite hard to find in players. You get a lot of players that just want to play a safe pass all of the time. But am I going to cry if he doesn't end up at Tottenham Hotspur? No, I won't. I've said I really want him, and I really wanted him before we'd even matched the release clause. In fact, I said I would actually prefer him over Eze when we were talking at the end of this season before we had any even links to Morgan Gibbs White. But I just, it's a difficult one. It does feel like it's all. Everyone's trying to save face. I think Forest are probably desperately trying to offer him a new contract and see if he'll accept it. They're probably trying to get Man City to up the bidding and make a bidding war.
Got some more gossip before we close off in 10-15 minutes or whatever. There's over 250 of you watching. Fantastic. I cannot thank you enough because it's, you know, we do a lot of work to get these shows on for you with relevant content, and the fact that so many of you watch and seem to enjoy it. But please, if you haven't liked the channel, please like each show, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and we will be doing some shorts in the week as stories develop when we've got solid news to bring you, not rumours. And if you know, please set that little alarm clock, the notification button, and set it for all notifications so that you get everything that we're bringing you. Particularly if Callum gives me some pointer. But let's move on. Let's move on from Gibbs White. I think he'll be a Spurs player too. It just might take another week or so. Wharton has stalled, and Polina's the new number one target. Callum, am I right in that assumption?
Wharton Hackney is still ongoing. Paulinia has been offered to us once again. This was reported. I saw the links today, and to be honest, I looked at the geezer's age. He's what, 30 years of age? It doesn't fit the profile we want. we want a deep line playmaker who's like a 6 sort of thing. Paulinho is purely a ball winning midfielder, so I honestly don't see this happening unless all else fails. If we get Paulinho, it means that all of our other targets, Walton, Hackney, Basuma, everyone, if that's failed, then we get Paulinho. That's how the club views it. And for the money that they want like 20 or 30 million. What in my mind, what does that say about Daniel Levy if we go and do that? There's no resale value to that. He's old. He's only going to get worse. And I honestly don't see the sort of positivity to this. So I think this is a non-starter. Unless Paratici has seriously got us a good deal for this, I don't see this one happening. And Walton deal is still ongoing. There's still talks. There is an unofficial bid on the table where they're trying to negotiate a fee. The Hayden Hackney deal they've spoken to. I mean, I spoke to someone earlier who said that the following players have sort of been looked at, and I'm just going to try and get them up now. Bear with me.
Just whilst you're doing that, Callum, my view on Paulinho is that he would have been the perfect player if Ange Postecoglou was still our manager. I think under Frank, I agree. I'm not sure because Frank doesn't. I mean, he does look for ball winners in midfield, but he also looks for ball winners that can pick out passes and stuff like that. And I'm not sure Paulinho has necessarily got that to his game. Would I be disappointed if we signed him? No, because he has got experience and you know he's a good player, and he could be a player that can coach and guide some of our younger midfielders to improve. But there's other midfielders I would want ahead of him, Walton obviously being one of them, but I'm not sure how realistic or how doable that is, especially for the sort of money that's rumoured to be for a player that's only played 36 Premier League games. It just seems a bit ludicrous that we could potentially be dropping 80 million on him. I think there's value in the market for players, but the problem we have is kind of need homegrown players and stuff. Like, for me personally, I look at someone like Stiller from Stuttgart as kind of like, if you're not getting Morgan Gibbs-White, then actually Stiller would be a perfect player. Xavi Simons has been mentioned a few times as but the problem with Xavi Simons, I don't really know where he plays. He's kind of a number 10, but I'm not sure we're going to be playing number 10. Anyway, on back to the original point, I think we're being offered a lot of players, and I think if all else fails, then we have players that we can fall back on, like that you've got on the screen there, Dougie Luiz and Paulinho and players like that. But we definitely, got our own. Like, end of the day, if we wanted Paulinho, he would already be with us now, because it's clear that Bayern Munich don't want him. And at 25 million, actually, that's not that much money for a player of his quality, aside from the fact that you're not going to get any of that money back.
Tom, would you be surprised if we got a left field signing like Arden Jashawi, a Swiss player, or even a Larson or a Hoymond? There are loads out there that are younger that fit the profile, but Callum's just waving his finger, so I'm interested to see what he's got to say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jashawi is very similar to Stiller in the way that they play. They're both very, very good passers and progressors of the ball. Jashawi's also very good at being able to take on his man and stuff as well, from the sort of the research that I've done, which is limited, to be fair. I don't think we'll get Holmond from Sporting, because they're going to want that even more money than Palace want for thing, or maybe 50-60 million is kind of the rumoured thing. But the other thing with him is that he does have an Arsenal tattoo on him, so that's another thing.
Callum, sorry, Tom, I'm going to interrupt you a sec. I know you were looking for it. You've got a quote there, or someone sent you a message about the Wharton situation. I think you wanted to tell us.
Yeah, so the Walton one is as follows. So conversation slowly ongoing with Palace. However, I do understand the delay here is down to Palace themselves exploring the market for potential replacements for Walton, one of which is conveniently Hayden Hackney is under consideration. So potentially Palace would try to get Hackney. But the other person who got named to me this week from a very reliable source of mine is Holmond. Hallman got dropped as a very good option for that sort of deep line playmaker role. I mean, he won't be. It doesn't matter about the tattoo, to be honest, because many players have football club tattoos on them. And to be honest, these players are paid enough to get over their internal rivalries, let's put it that way. There is also another one, Santiago Mendez. He's a young Mexican midfielder, one more towards the South American market. Or no, Santiago Munez, who is being looked at. He can sort of play anywhere through the middle or across the front three. One more for the future, though, as well. But the main names at the moment are Hallman, Walton, and Hackney. Paulinia is way below them. Douglas Luiz is way below them. Rios was spoken about, and I got that a couple of days ago. But like we said last weekend,
he's gone.
He was never coming. His deal was always going to be sorted with a European club, and it was Roma last weekend, but now Benfica have now sorted it out today, haven't they? So his deal is done, and that was such a low priority. It was just another person sort of doing it.
The thing with the Walton Hackney, which is interesting, is they class as Premier League homegrown. This is something we have to think about as well, because we haven't got Morgan Goodboy, and we're going to get him. So he'll be the 8th one then. We've got the eighth thing, right? But Hackney worth a punt?
I think the problem with Hackney, as I see it, is he is one for the future. You keep using, you more than anyone I see on social media uses the expression oven ready. To me, Wharton is oven ready to go into the first team, ready to play in Champions.
Well, he didn't play that many games last year, did he? For the money he's rated.
No,
What did he play?
Injuries, but I think he's got the ability. I think Hackney's not played in the Premier League, has he?
No, he hasn't. He's
Hackney's not even played in the Premier League. How many caps has he got for England?
Not first team.
So Hayden Hackney hasn't. He's only played in the Championship. He hasn't got any appearances for England. Wharton has got one cap for England and only played in the Prem. Yeah, once.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He's got international experience. I know it's not massive, but he's also played in the Premier League.
Yeah, for only 35 games though.
Well, it's 35 bloody more than Hackney has. That's my point.
Yeah, but also from what I've know of Hackney is that he's not a defensive midfielder like Wharton is. He's much more of a number 8, a much more of a bomber, box to box, up and down, and that's from what I've studied of Hayden Hackney when we were linked with him several years ago, like even. So he's not like a defensive midfielder like Wharton is. But like this is the thing with Wharton. I think Wharton's a very good player and I think he has the potential to be a very, very good player. But do not get it twisted. You are paying 80 million for potential. He is very good right now, but it is still potential, and that's a lot of money for potential in it.
I heard it was
and
like...
he has
Hi, Travis.
He's only played 35 Premier League games, which is not a lot. He's got one cap for England, which is, you can say he's a fully fledged international if you want, but one cap for me doesn't mean fully fledged. That means let's give this guy a cap and see how he goes. There's plenty of players that have got one cap that you would never even have assumed would have got a cap.
I heard that the Walton was like 65 to 75 mil with add-ons, but it was like more 65 to 72.5 mil with add-ons.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Walton for 60 million,
not willing to sell. I mean, if you take the Eze situation, Palace don't want to sell him, whereas they wanted one big lump sum. Suddenly they'll accept 320 mil payments, which means they're willing to sell him. If you're willing to accept 320 mil,
Yeah, I think the problem with Walton is the fact that he's at Palace, and Palace at the moment have Mark Gahey, who is potentially going to be sold, and Eze, who is potentially going to be sold. They don't need to sell Walton if they're selling those two players for money, nor are they going to want to sell Walton for that much. So that's why he's going to accrue like a big fee. my biggest problem with Wharton is that we fucked up by not signing him for 20 million when we had the opportunity before he went to Palace, and now we're paying for that by potentially paying for that, paying 3-4 times X what he was sold for in the first place, because we didn't want to take the punt at 20 million. But I think he's a very good player, and I'd love us to sign Adam Wharton. And I've always said, it's not my money. I don't care how much we spend on a player, because it's not my personal money, as long as we get the best players. Right? So actually, if he costs 80 million and he ends up being, a 60 million pound player, great. But whatever, it is what it is. It's not my personal money. I'm not one who gets too wrapped up in how much a player necessarily costs. But I just think it is a lot of money that could take away from other areas we potentially need for a player who is only 30 games into his Premier League career and had a big injury last year and stuff as well.
Would Hackney cost 55 million less? I mean, that's 25 million.
No.
Hackney's in the range of 30 to 35 they want at the moment. But let's put it this way. I heard from someone saying that if Spurs can't get their top 1, 2 or 3 targets this summer in these positions, they won't waste the money. They don't want to go. They don't want to go down the road of going and buying option 25. If you get what I mean. In all honesty, Paulini is option number 6 on the list. Douglas Luiz is option number 8 on the list at the moment. Yeah. These players, they're good players in their own right, but Spurs don't view them as a good player for them. It's not that we're discounting them and saying they're bad players. They just don't fit for us.
Where we're going.
Yeah.
And if we've already established that Spurs' profile, 23 to 27 for first team players, 18 to 21 for developing talent up to 22, why would we go and buy a 30 million pound player who's on probably 170 to 200 grand worth of wages?
Question for you, right? I mean, we're talking that sort of money for Walton, right? I know it's a different position. I'd rather go and get Xavi Simons for that sort of money, more consistent than Eze. And my backup question with the Eze, why is everything so cold on Eze? Why are we more interested in Walton, Guehi, Simmons, and not Eze? What's the issue with Eze?
Can I add to that, Adrian? Why has everybody gone cold on Eze?
Because Eze wants Arsenal.
Well, Arsenal aren't pursuing that, are they? And if they are,
no, and that's the problem, right? Yeah. Eze wants Arsenal, and Arsenal aren't fully in on him because they're too busy trying and get Rodrigo and various other players to come to them.
I think that the problem with Eze is it's dealing with Steve Parish, and Parish isn't very focused on transfers at the moment. Parish is more focused on trying to resolve this European legal battle that he's got because of Textor. And the problem is that it's this whole thing about Eze's clause. The only person to confirm about the payment terms of it that I reliably trust is Paul O'Keefe. And that all went very quiet after it. So I don't think it's all as clear cut and dry as that. I think there's something in there because remember the legal minefield that Chelsea got in with Elise 2 years ago? They activated his clause and then found out that they'd done something completely wrong, and then it fell through and it allowed him to sign a new deal. I think people are very scared about this Eze one.
Okay. Just before we move it on, Travis, you're really late for the party. We dealt with that about an hour and 45 minutes ago.
Not in a million years. Not in a million years, Travis.
Just to reach out on loan. So you make sure you're in time for school next time. Otherwise, I'm giving you lines.
Trav, just send me a message. Trav, send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll tell you in a bit, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, this kid, we've got him from Leeds. Yeah?
Yeah, I thought we might break this ourselves, but it was on Last Word on Spurs. Beat me to it on about 6 o'clock tonight. So I haven't got a scoop that I hope
it's
to
interesting because I thought we were going to get Gray's brother, the striker as well, Harry.
Yeah, I mean,
does anyone know anything about this boy? Because I don't.
Go on, Callum.
very good young. He's under 17s for England. He's a very good young player. He's one of the top players in his age group. A lot of potential. The only player that is better than him is, like Adrian said, Harry Gray. Harry Gray is sort of the diamond, the crown jewel of the Leeds Academy. And Spurs tried a double deal last year for him and Gray, and they couldn't get over the line. And they tried again about 8 weeks ago. And the problem was the fucker made his debut for Leeds at the end of last season, and they've whacked a 15 million price tag on him for someone who's made less than 10 minutes of championship football. So literally Spurs are kind of...
Well, we can lick our lips, Callum, because we can have Oliver Bowes playing alongside Williams Barnett.
That's what I'm feeling, because it's likely that Boast will go into the 18s, Malia will go into the 21s, and then you've got George Feeney who'll drop between the two, and Harry Byrne as well.
How much is this? Are we paying for this boy?
Looking at about 600 grand to $1 million.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's peanuts, isn't it? That's. I mean, that's 2 appearance fees on this show for you, Callum.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for me first one.
He's getting paid.
Yeah. My name is Tom Clark. You can get me at Zookeeper Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say,
Be negotiable. Be negotiable, right?
My wife Sophie, that's fine, you know. Just a comment from Brian there in the chat. Brett is saying Liverpool are after Wharton. I haven't seen that. But,
oh, come on. I mean, how many midfielders do Liverpool want? I mean, the same with Newcastle. I mean, like, this gets ridiculous. They always do it. Whenever Spurs are in for a player, isn't it funny how all our rivals are in for the player as well to wind our fan base up? You know, you got to stop falling for this crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. Remember, everyone said we was in for Carl Walker-Peters, and look, he turned down a deal to Turkey and ends up an Olympic.
I've never seen a more unhappier looking player in a West Ham shirt. Seriously, I'm really pissed off when I see him in
it. Sold to Everton. We sold someone to Everton who had a look on their face like someone had just stolen their wallet. Who was it?
Wasn't Githel Sigurdsson, was it?
Yeah, it weren't Sigurdsson,
was it? No, it was a black player. Sorry, I hope that doesn't offend anybody. It was a black player that
was it Lennon? Was it Lennon?
Oh yeah.
It was Aaron.
Yeah, it was Lennon.
Yeah. I mean, talk about suddenly realised he'd left London and left the gas on or something.
Yeah, but that was like when we sold Kevin Vimmer to Stoke as well. Literally, he was so happy with us, and then he went to Stoke. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has that look on their face when they go to Stoke. I'm not gonna, no offence, Stoke fans, if any of you are here, but it's just not very pleasant there.
Okay. The death threat will be in the post, Colin.
Right. Okay.
It's all right. I'll get lost around Birmingham, to be fair.
7 minutes. Right. I mean, this is really where we finish off the show. We've got more shows coming up this week. I'll come on to it. There's 270 of you watching. Absolutely magnificent. I'll keep saying, please like the channel. Please subscribe to the channel.
That little button in the right-hand corner.
Yeah. But if you can still get that, can't you? If you're watching on what do you call it, on x.com, because I know there's a big number on x.com.
Yeah,
you can still get the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, Sirkin's interesting. He's 23. We didn't have a buyback clause. We missed the buyback clause at the time because
7-3. So Kirkin and other targets, Callum. Before, I mean, the one thing is, of course, are we getting another? Because there's a lot of people unhappy, don't think that Solanke's up to the job. So are we going for another striker?
Purely depends on players leaving. So that relies on around Son and Richie moving on, to be honest. I don't think there's a real need for another striker unless they move out, to be honest. Lancashire they view as being capable as a backup. And it's more likely that if they do move out, it's... more likely to be a versatile forward if anything. So probably a Simmons or someone like that. Someone's just put Jamie Vardy in the chat. Maybe if it was about 10 years ago, Jamie Vardy, I'd entertain it, but not now. Let's put it that way.
What about Rebecca Vardy?
That's just ag. That's just ag on every single level.
All right, and back to Kirkin.
That one I did ask about. So no live conversations with Sunderland right now, and Sirkin only sort of interest there. There's someone that has been named to me, Jagan Meghomer from Brentford, as a potential left back target. More on the young side, so maybe towards 21 level at the moment, but someone who Frank knows very well and who they did plan to promote this season into the Brentford first team from their youth academy. So potentially someone to look at as well.
Okay.
There was just a few names that were passed to me this week for potential strikers. Beast just said one in there earlier. Sesko was named to me as potential option, but he would be big money. These are more internally discussed and just tapping up interest to see what's about. There was Sesko, Lorenzo Luca. I believe he's just gone to Napoli at the moment. Obviously, Ferguson, I said about the other day, I think Ian, between our group and that, he's just gone to Rome. And now there's still there's Maximilian Bayer, but he's more of a 50-50 backup option. The one that you really like is Isaac. And I mean, I know that everyone would love Isaac. If Newcastle would agree to it, Spurs would pay silly money. But we know even that silly money is out of Spurs' remit. Let's put it that way. I mean, we know that Liverpool had a £120 million bid rejected for him. So, I mean,
something I want to say about
Callum, Coney de Winter, Zalbani, right? And who's the other one I'm thinking of? Coney de Winter, Zalbani, and Scalvini. I mean, after Vaskovic's performance, right? Or prior to it, was there real genuine interest in those three centre backs?
So, from what I heard, Scalvini and Silva are the main priorities if Romero leaves. But it's looking less likely for it. Good. Scalvini's price to be is quite attractive, which has surprised everyone. He may be one that we act on without Romero moving on to increase quality, but this was reported before Vaskovic's deal or great performance yesterday. So, yeah, it's one of them. I know that everyone's taking the piss out of me for Isaac. It's a non-starter from my point of view. It's just what I heard from someone inside Spurs who was saying that it would be a lovely one.
Callum, is Isaac even a possibility that we would shell out £120 million for?
To be fair, Callum, all you said is that Spurs would like Isaac. I mean, who the fuck wouldn't want Isaac?
Exactly.
Look, listen, I don't want to be too personal here, but I'm not going out without a change of underwear. If there's any possibility of us signing Isaac, I mean, seriously, when I talked about earlier about Kudos and the pace and the power, we had
it's not happening. Ian, at your age, you only get a stiffy once in a while. Don't waste it on the.
Don't bring that up. Come on. I'm older than him, right? I'm older than him. If I'm at the age where I won't let my mind make appointments my body can't make, right? Okay.
Let's put it this way: every club in Europe would like Isaac, and the money involved is just silly money. If Newcastle would ever deal with us, he would be the dream signing. And I say that as a dream signing. Spurs would never get to that at the stage that we're at, to be honest. So I think it's a non-starter. He's a dream target. That's all. It's not that we're going to go out and try and sign him. It's not that we're signing Eze. It's not that we're signing Isaac before the end of this window. It's that we would love him as a player, but it won't happen.
Yeah.
Not
What
in this
about my
window.
man? What about my man Vlahovic? Because Daniel's posted here, so I've got to answer him, right? Because he thinks I've got a picture of Vlahovic by my bedside, like, you know what I mean? So, what about Vlahovic?
I want to do a stream where Ian doesn't mention Vlahovic. He literally comes
Ian
up
doesn't
every
mention who?
single time.
Well,
Where he
I
doesn't
don't
mention Dusan Vlahovic. Yeah. From Juventus.
And
So-
Fratelli from Milan.
There is two names, and I'll start with Vlahovic. So Vlahovic is one that was liked in Paratici's time. So we're talking 2022, 2023. He can leave Juventus this summer for a reasonable fee. It's not the transfer fee that Spurs are worried about. It's the injury problems and the money involved in his wages. He's on, I think, at least 250 grand a week there. Maybe even more. So I
315 from what I researched on transfer market.
So that's probably a non-starter, to be honest. It's one of them that's been offered around. It's a Paulini, a Douglas Luiz still. Rafael Leao is someone who is an option as a versatile forward, but the price tag, and it's not the wages on this one, it's the price tag that Milan want, 80 to 90 million. I don't see that one happening. I've just obviously seen Brett say Vissa as well. Interest is from Frank's side, money involved. Spurs would not pay more than 20, 25 million. Brentford want 40. So yeah, non-starter on that one at the moment.
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, Tom, do you have any view? There's 284 people watching. I'm half tempted to keep going to see if we can make 300, but
sure.
I'm not going to go on forever. People have got jobs and things to do tomorrow.
I mean, so Leao, obviously I mentioned him earlier as a left forward and stuff like that. He is a player which on his day will take a game by the scruff of his neck and win you a game, but he can also be an incredibly frustrating player and miss like a 5-yard sitter for absolutely no reason.
He's a lazy player, a very lazy
he's lazy
player
as well.
if
you could get him in, if you could get him in, that would be phenomenal. Like he has the potential to be absolutely world class. But again, I think we're talking dreamland stuff there. Vissa, again, we're just not going to pay the money that Brentford want for him. And I think he would be a useful player. But for me, striker, I would like us to get another striker, but I don't see it as absolutely imperative. I think Solanke, he got injured for us last year, but before getting injured for us last year, he'd never really had any injuries. So he's always going to be available to kind of play. Mm-hmm. We also have several players that can play striker if needed. Kudos has played there actually almost as much as he's played on the right wing throughout his career. Tell can play striker. Son can play through the middle. Kulusevski can play through the middle. We have several players who can play there. I think what we really need to do with Solanke being 27, 28, I think really we need to be looking for the next best striker coming through to thing, and we might already have that in our ranks. That's the thing, like Lancashire. Lancashire has this ability to be able to just pop up in the right place and get those little tap-ins.
While we're trying to get into 300 viewers, right, Callum? What about a player like the Looker, Evan Gessend at Nice? This kid's fast. I like the look of him. Have you seen him?
I've seen him. I've seen some links to him, but it's not really a one that seems to be sort of ticking all the boxes at the moment. He's not someone who's taken Spurs' youth ranks or like their scouts by storm at the moment. Let's put it that way. I mean, I know you asked about Zabani earlier as well, Adrian, and there's interest there. There always has been interest. They had a look at Zabani and Kirkes and Hulson in the last 18 to 24 months, but the figures just didn't add up for them. And the Zabani deal is looking like 70 million, 80 million they want for him.
No.
He's valued based on Optastats is 40.
All right, before you go back to him, what about Leon, who've got massive financial problems? I forget the name of their striker.
Maku Taitsia, something like that. The Georgian.
Oh,
Maku Taitsia.
Have we got any chance of cherry picking Leon players?
McCall's. So there's McCall's. They've looked at. There's I think is it Fafana over there as well, the young winger, I believe as well. So they've been looked at, but Spurs don't really like dealing with Leon, to be honest, because they've got Aulus over there as well, and Aulus is the equivalent of Daniel Levy in France in terms of dealing with a chairman. So
is he worse than a previous chairman that sold us then Don Belly?
Yeah, a little bit, to be honest, and because of financial grief that they've had, it's
Brett's mentioning Cliver, and I tell you what, I've been really negligent in not mentioning the Bournemouth defender whose name I've temporarily forgotten, but I can check. Is there anything in that the Bournemouth player?
What, Zabani?
That's who they've just been talking about. Yeah. Zabani. Yeah.
Sorry. Right.
Yeah, they've just been talking about him. Like so, yeah. But big money.
Mixed up the names then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that's 70 million easily. They'd want more than the Hulson and the Kirkes fee in there.
Not happening, is it?
Not at this stage.
No. I think we're going to see a lot more of Vaskovic in these pre-season games now.
Yeah, any centre back stuff. The only way that it may happen is if pretty much if they were to let Davis go, if Van der Ven was to become the sort of backup to a Doggy as sort of like a natural fullback, that there may be a left-sided centre back to come in, or there'd be a left-sided option considered for that role. And the one that they do like is Scalvini at the time.
Yeah. Scalvini seems to make a lot of sense. And he's affordable, Callum.
Yeah, he's probably at about 45 to 55 million. Esteval has been looked at as well. He sort of fits that mould, but not he's an option, but not a sort of target.
What about Guehi or Lacroix?
Lacroix, not really that highly rated, to be honest. They like him, but they feel that they've got enough right-sided centre-backs. It's left-sided. Guehi and Lacroix both are naturally right-sided centre-backs, to be honest. Spurs want a specialist left-sided one.
Vaskovic can do that job on the left.
He can play across all of them, and don't be surprised to see if they are to play a sort of this frank pivot with the left fullback going forward and then the three tucking in at the back. Don't be surprised to see Dragusin potentially playing as a right back next season as well if they want to go for it, and him becoming part of a back three.
There's another name come up by Robinson from Fulham. I mean, again, I think the problem is that, again, it's money, isn't it? The money they want from compared to our valuation are poles apart, Callum.
About 15 million difference. We value him at close to 25 to 30. They value him at 45 to 50.
Yeah. And he's what, 29 now?
Yeah, 27, 28. So he's more towards the later end of it. I mean, I know Drula's just said Semenyo as well. So he signed a new deal. Xavi Simmons, we discussed as well, very keen, but we need to create space. We aren't delaying here due to the funds, but purely due to space and capacity within the squad. It kind of goes the same for most of it's been held up by players moving out. We don't have the spaces. We want a 6, we want a left winger, we want a left back. We'll then explore a striker or another versatile forward at the back. and we'll explore youth talent as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have got a bloated squad. We can be bloated with youngsters. That's not a problem. Right? But it is
Not
bloated.
senior players.
And
Not
like Richie doesn't want to leave. I get it. Well, I mean, where's he going to go that's better than Spurs? And who's going to want him? You know. So unless he went back to Everton. So Basuma, I'd show him the door. Well, I'd help him pack and drive him to the airport, right? And I've gave up my driving license, right? So yeah, Gil, Solomon. I thought Solomon actually did quite well in the 5-2 away win at Burnley that time when he assisted Son for 2 of his goals in his hat trick. But
it's against Burnley, though. It's against Burnley. Come on.
He's not going to get shown, is he?
No.
Okay. I'm going to draw this to a conclusion. Tom's rubbing his eyes. It's up as 12. We go 2.5 hours. Callum, you got work tomorrow?
Yeah, 5.5 hours away.
Yeah, so enough's enough, boys. 285 of you, and there's been God knows how many engagements. We'll find out. But look, thanks to everybody who's been watching, whether at the beginning, the middle, the end, or all the way through. Thank you if you're watching on catch up. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification button for all, because we will be doing broadcasts through the week as news emerges. Tom, where can people find you?
So on there, on here, as an admin now of the channel, and at Zookeeper Tom on X. I don't really tweet. Well, sorry, not really tweet anymore. I don't really tweet too much now.
Find me. Yeah, in the divorce court if you don't let me go in a minute. Adrian, you're here. You're at Spurs Diehards.
Yeah, all I'm going to say to you guys, because me and him got this music competition, once he ends the show, listen to his soulful ending, because I've got the heavy metal beginning. He's got the ending. Listen to it. It is good. I do like it, you know. Callum, where can we find you?
You can find me at Callum Stubbs 97 on X. God knows how many group chats. You can find me on Scarfy Spurs Talks. You can find me on Partlane Podcast. And then I'll be on Luke Samuel's channel at 9:30 on Thursday as well.
I think I might be on Scarfy tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of these. It's always wonderful to get these lovely comments, guys. But I'm at Ian. At Shaggy1712. I always follow back any Spurs supporters. So please follow. We are back. Adrian's hosts on Tuesday, so Adrian will be here on Tuesday. We will be back as well on Friday.
Just want to throw a few banners up to you guys. I mean, like, you can find us here if you're watching us on videos or on playback, right? This is our XCOM Diehards group community. You can find us there. You can find us here on Facebook, and you can find us here on Facebook on the page, right? So that's if you use those types of media. If you don't, that's fair enough.
Okay, so we're around. You can find us if you go online now and look at Spurs Diehards. You will find us. So anyway, look, thanks everybody. Same time next week for me at 10 o'clock Sunday night. Hopefully, Adrian will be here. Adrian never misses a show. It's never even gets a. You've got
to put up with me Tuesday if Tom comes on. That's great. I'll speak to him.
And Callum, I hope you'll join us again. If we've got news in the week, we will bring it to you. Thank you, everybody, again. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Diehards, something I can't explain. We follow through sun and rain. When we lose, we don't complain. Yes, we do. Oh, we do. But Tottenham Hotspur, I will love you till I die. I will till I die.